Welcome to YellBro. I am Jordan, and today we're gonna hear an idea called the Lucifer effect because I feel like it. Before I get started, do not forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Also, please check out the Discord link if you want to join that. We're in that Discord right now. All opinions are welcome, and obviously, this video I'm showing you uh, will be linked for you to look at on your own and maybe rabbit hole. What's his name? Philip Zimbrano? Zimbardo. Philip Zimbardo. And I think the concept is quite interesting and worthy of examination. I know no one's going to watch this video. I get it. Whatever. Okay? Listen. I'm waiting to have my millions upon millions of screaming fans. I'm just not there yet. But I'm worthy, though. I am worthy. Because no one's going to tell them about the fucking Lucifer effect. But yes, this video will be linked for you to look at on your own and rabbit hole with. Now, before I hit play on this, I've heard the words before and kind of the concept, but I haven't heard. And this is a guy who coined the term, I believe, Philip Zimbardo. I believe he coined the term the Lucifer effect. Uh, and the way I would define it for me personally, yes, there's the overall idea of, hey, why do people do bad things in the world, right? That's kind of the big question about it, right? For anyone who's trying to like make things better, like their sense of better, they probably want to find out like, well, why do bad things happen in the first place, right? When it comes like humans behaving in the world. So that's like the kind of an overall umbrella term. But for me personally, I look into like the little niches of the idea itself, and you know where the Lucifer effect to me is where we don't take care of our own realities. We don't take care of our own experiences and what we see. What the fuck is that? Anyways, yeah, like it's like okay, someone bumps into your shoulder, right? You're at the bar, you're at the fucking, you're talking to some girl, and then someone bumps you in the arm, and in your mind, like, wait a minute, this guy's being fucking disrespectful. Look at the way he's like walking. Look at the way his face looks as he looks back at me. Look at his clothing. Look at everything. And you're just like, oh my god, this guy's an asshole. And thus, you know what? I'm gonna go fuck him up for that. I'm gonna go beat the shit out of this guy. Because he was doing some shit to like make me look bad or to try to in some sort of way harm me somehow. And those little nitty gritty moments, right? That's that kind of decision making where your perceptions are being played with in a way, right? Based on something that may be outside of what what you actually truly understand. At least in the ego, at the surface of your mind, it maybe like grabs you, like it captures you into going a certain direction, right? And I mean, to a T, the Joker in the Dark Knight, like to a T, is like that force of nature. That character representing, in my opinion, a force of nature is that itself. Where, hey, if I just throw certain things at you, you'll behave a certain way. But underneath that decision making, that's where the battle happens between what people would call good versus evil. The underpinnings of that. Like, hey, do you know this person that bumped into your shoulder? Do you know their motives? Are you considering their motives? Would it be immoral to not consider their motives? On and so forth. These little nitty gritty fucking questions. And sometimes we get thrown for such a loop, we don't know what's going on. And instead of saying, like, well, I don't know what's going on, right? Instead of just saying, like, I don't know, let me try to figure it out. We jump to decisions, and thus that's where the devil part comes in, right? But that's like an off the cuff, try to explain what I mean when if I say Lucifer effect versus this guy who coined the term once again, Philip Zimbardo, and we're gonna hear him out. Like, hey, maybe he has a different idea, or maybe it's very similar. Let's find out. Here we go. The Lucifer effect.
Hola. I would like to take you
Hola.
on a journey
Turn
with
that up.
me. I'm going to talk about the Lucifer effect in action, and I want you to come on a journey from evil to the psychology of heroism. Hopefully, it'll be a hot talk, and hopefully,
Yeah,
we'll spend some
he's
time in
got heroes
hell
in
and
here
some
too.
time in heaven. But one of the questions we want that has been asked for decades by philosophers, by theologians, by dramatists is what makes people go wrong? As a child, I asked that question because I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a ghetto in South Bronx in New York. And if you grew up in the inner city, you grew up with evil all around you. And I wanted to know why my friends I knew were good went bad. So the dangerous question I want to ask is not why people go wrong. I want to up the ante. I want to know, why do good people turn evil? The reason I ask is because psychologists are really optimistic.
Sorry, real quick. It's already shaky. Like, I think my idea of good is meaning you achieve something and you're never turning back. You're never turning back. There is no, you know, like I think he means like in a social way, like, hey, they're not committing crimes now, so that's their good, and when they start committing crimes, they're bad. Versus like the actual pinnacle of moral exploration of the psyche that can exist in this world, and fully achieving that and standing there, and nothing moves you off that fucking block. That to me is like, okay, you got it, you're good, you got it, you nailed it. Versus kind of a wishy-washy, it's as good as the world around me, so thus I'm a good person, even though I get the social pleasantries, but when it comes to philosophy and psychology, we need to bury these fucking terms for the sake of, you know, trying to arrive at a correct answer, if you will, right? If a person is a quote unquote good guy and they do something that's bad guy like, were they even good in the first place? Or was it a mirage? Was it Harvey Dent in the dark? Hey, I apologize now. I'll be bringing up the Dark Knight quite a bit. All right, let's apply. Here we go.
I want to up the ante. I want to know, why do good people turn evil? The reason I ask is because psychologists are really optimistic. We believe if we know how and why, if we know the mechanisms and the process, then we could begin to develop interventions maybe to prevent or minimize evil. As a child, I was also influenced by the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. If you remember the story, it's the good Dr. Jekyll invents a chemical, which when he takes it, he crosses the line between good and evil, and he becomes the evil Mr. Hyde. When the drug wears off, he goes back again across that line to become the good Dr. Jekyll. For me, what was interesting is not what was in the chemical, but what was all about the line. Whoops, I'm sorry.
You could also go with Harvey Dent, right? Right? Two-Face, right? You can go with that too. Just saying. All right, here we go.
It was all about that line. I wanted to know whether the line between good and evil is fixed and impermeable, because that's a safety. Because me and my kind were on the good side, and we don't have to worry about being seduced to the bad side. But it made me entertain the possibility, even though it was fiction, that maybe the line between good and evil is permeable. Maybe it allows movement across, so good people could be seduced into doing evil, and maybe even evil people could be rehabilitated. So I want you all to take a moment to look at this wonderful illusion by the Dutch artist M.C. Escher.
Right?
Focus on the white and make the
it.
black the background, and when you do, you see a world full of angels. But now let's look more deeply. I want you to switch focus and focus on the black.
That's Batman.
And now you see a world full of devils, demons,
Batman.
the horns with the wings. And this tells me two things. It tells me that good and evil are part of the human condition. They are the dark and light aspects of human nature. They are yin and yang. Good and evil is in all of us. Once something becomes imaginable, it becomes doable by any of us.
I already disagree. Good and evil is not the yin-yang balance. I look at that as masculine and feminine. Same thing with light and dark. Also, like kind of symbolism. thing is not good versus evil, right? Which is where Star Wars fucked up, right? In my opinion, the dark side. Like, hey man, it's nighttime now. Is nighttime bad? Nighttime's not bad. Me, it isn't. Nocturnal creatures, are they inherently bad or evil just because they scare us a little bit? Like, no. So good and evil, in my worldview, it's not some balance between those two. It's good and there's nothing. That's how I look at it. Evil to me means emptiness, not full of something that's bad, just lack of good. You are the bitch of good, essentially. If good occupies, you can't do nothing about it, evil. You're fucked. What evil, right? And thus, that to me plays out when it comes to the human condition as well. That trying to balance that, trying to, do your best to do good, but pressures make me want to do bad sometimes or whatever the fuck, right? Or conditioning or whatever. And it's like, hey, if good occupies, evil has no fucking chance. Zero chance. Zippo. But anyways, let's hear his idea. Basically off rep, like we're already in disagreement land, and not to say like he's like so wrong. It's just okay. The way I use the terms are different than the way he uses them. But let's see if he makes more sense as he keeps talking to where like, okay, I see what you're saying now. Maybe using different words than I would use, but now we're like in a similar territory, or maybe not, right? Which is fine too. But all right, here we go.
And it also reminds me as a little Catholic kid of Lucifer. Lucifer was God's favorite angel. Lucifer means the light. He's also called the morning star in scriptures. We don't know what he did to become the number one angel, but we know what he did to lose his status. He disobeyed God along with some other angels, and what God did is he got Michael the archangel to come in, overpower Lucifer and the other fallen angels, and of course with the help of God he couldn't lose. And in that instant, Lucifer goes from being the favorite angel to descend into hell as Satan, as the devil, as the force of evil in the universe. So this is the arc of the most extreme transformation imaginable. God's favorite angel becomes the devil. So given that, it sets the context for my studies over a number of years of looking at how ordinary people, not angels, first begin to engage in evil acts. So as you saw in that little clip I did with Andres, evil, a psychological definition, is really all about power. It's the exercise of power to intentionally harm people through prejudice, to hurt people through torture and other means, to kill people. And when evil is practiced by governments, by systems, it's to commit crimes against humanity. And that's where the real evil is in the universe. A few years ago, we saw this TV expose, which was shocking to the world, of American soldiers, men and women, abusing Iraqi prisoners in a prison in some place in Iraq called Abu Ghraib. I was shocked by those images, but I wasn't surprised because I had seen some of those images in the study I did many years earlier, which I'll reveal to you. The military and the Bush administration immediately said, this is the work of a few bad apples. Don't blame us. The system is good. I didn't believe that because I knew in the Stanford Prison Study, I started only with good apples. So my hypothesis was maybe the soldiers were good and it was the barrel that was bad. In order to answer that hypothesis, I needed the data, and I got it when I was invited to be an expert witness for the guard who was in charge of the night shift, Sergeant Chip Frederick. So I had access to all the images, 1,000 of them, I'm going to show you some, access to all the investigative reports, there was a dozen, and access to this man and his family. So what I want to do is our case study of evil, since evil is a vague term, I want to make it concrete. We're going to look at some of those horrific images that I've added some sound and movement to. This is digitally documented depravity. Some of the images are violent or sexual. You might want to look away. And these are all from the cameras of the United States military police. What happened is only in one place, Tier 1A, and only on the night shift, not in the day shift. So these are questions we might want to ask later on when we have a question period. So let's open the door to that dungeon and go down.
Once again, I just want to establish here that that he hasn't established what good is or what evil is yet, right? Which I think is quite necessary, but maybe it's kind of maybe looks at it as a matter of fact way. Hey, if you torture someone, that's bad. Obviously, it's bad, right? And like, but that works in like normal social conversation. Uh, Even some worlds of academia, kind of in that direction, right? Or intellectualism. But in reality, on the philosophical level, you have to define the terms that, right? Just because, like, what makes torture bad? What if you're torturing a torturer to end torturing, right? Even though that sounds stupid, but you have to put answers in place for those so that it isn't just matter of factly like, well, it's bad because the world says it's bad. But here we go. Let's continue. Just want to point that out.
So let's open the door to that dungeon and go down and see what really happened there. Abu Ghraib, Iraq prison abuses, 2003, military police guards photos. Begins with push-ups, with punching, with hitting, with stepping on people, with humiliating them, having them wear women's pants, hanging them upside down,
I got dick pics on here.
having them in stress positions, standing on boxes for hours, putting their number in lipstick on their breast. We'll talk about him in a moment. So that pictures the iconic image of torture. And they're making high fives.
Forever.
They're happy. They're putting themselves in the picture. This is the first time we've seen torturers, men and women, putting themselves in the picture along with their humiliation.
I just did a lot on
torture.
YouTube. Jesus
Masturbation contests, making them simulate fellatio.
That is so fucked up.
And treating human beings as if they were dogs. The ultimate dehumanization. And then using dogs to terrorize their victims. Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld comes down, he says, who is responsible for these prison abuses? Who are the bad apples? Well, the question I ask, how do psychologists go about understanding these character transformations?
But this video's on YouTube.
There are three ways. The most typical way is called dispositional. We look inside the person for personality traits. In this case, we look for psychopathology. We're going to call that the bad apples. Social psychologists like me say, yeah, people are important, but you know what? We have ignored the situational forces, the specific external context, and that's the bad barrel. And what we have all ignored, all social scientists, is where the real power is, and that's the systemic. It's the broad influence, political, economic, cultural, legal. And I call those the bad barrel makers. They make the situation, and they justify it and maintain it. Now, of course, they're evil people. And we call
Now, I would already be like, and I'm already hearing why this guy would get, like, if I did like my version of this, it wouldn't be allowed on TED Talk. But I can see why his version is allowed, in my opinion, at least. Where it really like the idea of making it, like you said, systemic and conditional, right? Conditioning being, and conditioning is a major factor, right, for why people behave the way they are. But I cannot take away agency. And so when it comes to anyone behaving a certain way because, oh my God, well, listen, my dad beat me as a kid, so you know what? Now I'm like this. Not good enough. Not good enough. Because without that, if I just say, oh, well, he's just a victim of his environment, and thus this is the way he behaves. You took away freedom, which means you took away morality, right? You can't have morality without choice. Choice is not a flimsy idea in regards to the world of morality. It has to be present. It has to. How can you do something good if you're not doing it? Right? If you're just conditioned, brainwashed, whatever word you want to put on it. Someone made you do that, which means you're not doing good and you're not doing evil either. You're just essentially just downloading software of the environment around you. Now, if you break that down and say, like, okay, you're getting content, you're getting information, you're getting reflections, you're getting conditioning in a way, like conditional phenomena that can condition you, right? You're receiving that information, uh, and you know, you're like, okay, I'm gonna negotiate between these ideas, right? If a billboard says, or a billboard, or your parents, or a teacher, or whatever the fuck, right? Whatever environmental conditional factors are saying, like, hey, turn right, always turn right, right here, always turn right. If you ask the question of yourself, like, well, why does it go right? You already open up the door for, why can't I go left? Then it turns into, like, can I turn left? Then it turns into, do I want to go left? And that's where the choice is at, right there, right? What do I want to do? You're negotiating the factors in front of your face, and you're dealing with it, right? But if that phenomenon, if that experience does not exist within a person, they're not making choices. They're turning right because the world said turn right, which is not individualistic, which is not fucking choice. That's just conditioning or brainwashing or yada yada yada. And thus, hey Bob, why'd you stab that guy? Well, it's because when Bob was a kid, he saw a movie where someone got stabbed, and at the same time, his parent was beating the shit out of him to where he was traumatized and built that within himself. Then he got older, suffered a trauma, and he's like, hey, how do you deal with trauma? You stab someone. Duh. Where that's called, that there's no choice there. And there's no argument about it. Like, sorry, there's no way to argue that there is a choice in that situation if it is exactly as I just explained it. So thus, Bob isn't being immoral. Bob's just following the programming of the world that he experienced, strictly within that. Although, once again, it begs the question in regards to the observer there, but I was trying to keep it like on the surface direction to showcase that, hey, lack of choice is lack of morality. You're not being moral or immoral. You're just programmed a certain way, right? But let's play. I would hope he'd bring that, like, once again, I understand he's more in, I guess, a psychologist, right? I believe that's his profession, being a psychologist, but I mean, philosophy is going to have to play a role there. But all right, here we go.
Where the real power is, and that's the systemic. It's the broad influence, political, economic, cultural, legal. And I call those the bad barrel makers.
This is my problem
They
with
make
Peter
the
Joseph
situation
too, by the way.
and they justify it and
He
maintain
acknowledged
it.
to me. Sorry,
Now,
I had a, like, when I've seen probably all of the Zeitgeist movies. I reviewed something that I think was either a tweet or a video that he did, and I listed my, what's it, not in a negative way. Like, I think the guy means well, personally, Peter Joseph. But I listed some problems I had in regards to the idea, like, well, where's the choice at, right? Because an attempt to eliminate human choice, you're begging for a rebellion at some point, right? To say, hey, if your streets are clean, you'll behave this way. Someone might do the opposite just because they realize, like, wait a minute, I'm not just going to follow the fucking herd. Fuck them. I'm going to fucking make my own choices, right? Like, I was kind of making that as a point. And he acknowledged, Peter Joseph, in my video, actually, he acknowledged, he's like, oh, yeah, you make some good points. Like, we don't have to agree on everything, but, like I hear that argument, and there's something to that, which is what I think Peter Joseph was, at least that's what it felt like when he left me a comment. So, and but I do understand the idea of, like, hey, these poor neighborhoods, if you fix them up, probably less crime, right? Most likely. Uh, but the idea of crime is not based on how nice or how good or bad your neighborhood looks aesthetically, or how much money's, like, influxed into it. It does not decide if you're a good or bad person, right? Otherwise, that takes away choice, right? Choice is gone at that point. Like, hey, if we just give you white picket fences, that means you'll behave this way, which means there is no you there. You're just a program following a program, right? Got to the Matrix. But all right, let's apply. Sorry. Here we go.
What influence? Political, economic, cultural, legal. I call those the bad barrel makers. They make the situation and they justify it and maintain it. Now, of course, they're evil people, and we call that dispositional evil. For older people in the audience, it's Stalin and it's Hitler. But is there a more modern example of dispositional evil? An evil person that everybody might agree to, at least in America. He looks like this. Vice President Dick Cheney. It says Bush administration declares war on Canada, France, Germany, and everybody else we can. For young people, Darth Vader.
Okay, now Dick Cheney himself, he's not evil. Does he do evil things? Yes, you bet your ass, yes. But him as an entity is not evil itself. Give evil a little bit more credit, man. You think what evil look like? This fucking fake motherfucker, bro? Is that what evil is? The fuck out of here. But he does make decisions that I believe are very much in the realm of evil. Man. But him as a person, no. I'll never go there about a person. Like, that person's evil. Because it would, once again, just on logic. If they are evil, that means you gotta kill them. But if you kill them, what does that make you? Are you now evil? Like, no, wait a minute. With me, listen, I did something evil to stop the ultimate evil, which is this person. How do you know he's not doing that? I didn't think about it. So, and like, okay, now you're Dick Cheney. Got it. Because I can sit back in the background and be like, well, the guy that killed Dick Cheney, he's evil because he murdered someone, and murdering's evil. That makes him evil, right? But okay, I get it. He's playing politics a bit. Once again, this is not my version of Lucifer effect at all. It's not. You may have coined the term, possibly, but I think it needs more wine in that water instead of just straight water, right? Add some wine in there. Add some intoxication, some black swan to it. Not just social norms of Dick Cheney's evil because Iraq war, right? Here we go.
Germany, and everybody else we can. For young people, Darth Vader is the modern version of evil for the younger generation. And I met up with him recently, and it's very difficult not to fall under the spell of the dark force of evil. But I'm still trying.
In fact, in the Star Wars movies, he's not actually evil as the movie plays out, right? He has like a redemption story, kind of. And his beginnings are like, oh, you're just an idiot that got tricked by someone, and now you're this. And you got consumed by your own sense of revenge and shit like that, right? And power. Here we go.
So here's the bad apple versus bad barrel. Here's Chip Frederick. It was his idea to put electrodes on this prisoner's hand, have him stand in a box, cover his face, and tell him that when his legs give out and he falls over, he will execute himself. And so imagine, now he didn't think it was bad because the electrodes weren't attached to electricity, but the prisoner didn't know that. And so this has become the iconic image of torture. So what kind of monster is this guy? Before he went down to that dungeon, he was an honored soldier. He got 9 medals and awards. He loves the American flag. There was not a single thing in his record that I could find over his 30 years of life that was negative. And
yo, Philip, like, once again, joining the military does not make you an evil person. But the idea that he joined the military and got some medals for doing so definitely does not make him a good person. That's not evidence of a good person at all. So once again, this is why I was asking to set standards of good and evil in the first place, so that when we look at actual like real life scenarios, we can actually have a discussion about it. But the idea of like he is a good soldier who won some medals as a standard for good is just not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work on a philosophical level. That's not good enough. God damn it, Phil. Damn it. All right, I'm lagging, so I have to reset real fast. All right. Let's get back at it. Here we go.
Here he is right after with his wife, good husband, good father, good citizen.
You don't know that. You don't know
And
that.
so
You don't know
I have
that.
to conclude, plus with a lot of other information
does
I
good
gathered,
mean?
that
Don't
it
get
was
it.
the situation that drove this good person to do those terrible things.
It's not good.
So the Lucifer effect involves
He's being
understanding
lazy.
human character transformations.
He's being lazy with terms to maybe fit a narrative or fit an idea versus like, let's get to the actual fucking answer of things. He's a good husband, good soldier, good neighborhood guy. It's like, what does good mean in that scenario? He takes his trash out every Monday or something. He invites neighbors over when he's grilling outside. Those can be signs of something, but that doesn't mean good. Good with a capital G, that's a different standard based on in my worldview. But okay. Oh, he paid his taxes. He's a good guy. He paid his taxes. He goes to church every Sunday. He's a good guy. That's not what good means to me. Or it's not. Sorry, it's not enough to define as good to me. What's it play? Here we go.
So the Lucifer effect involves understanding human character transformations when ordinary people become perpetrators of evil. We have to analyze behavior always at 3 levels. The first level is,
Tell me,
what do people
no one
bring into the
outflanks this fool in a
situation?
Batman movie.
What does the situation bring out of people? And what is the dominant system that maintains, creates those evil-producing situations? So the Lucifer effect, which is now in the Spanish edition, and they have it in the lobby, I'll sign copies for you tomorrow, involves my trying to understand how good people turn evil. But although the book is heavily invested in the negatives about the Stanford prison study, about Abu Ghraib, and several chapters on all the research, some of which I'm going to present a bit of today, that show the power of the situation, I think my book really as a testimony to the human mind's infinite capacity to make any of us behave as kind or cruel, as caring or indifferent, as creative or destructive, and to push some of us to be villains. And you know what? The same situation pushes other of us to become heroes. And that's where we're going to take us in a moment.
Meaning there is no choice, which means you can't be a villain or a hero. It's not up to you. It's up to your environmental, potentially genetic circumstances. There is no you there. It's the world acting on what you call you. Thus, there is no hero or villain. It's just you got conditioned to save a baby, you got conditioned to kill a baby. According to his definition of things so far, at least. And that, my friends, is nowhere near the world of morality. That's not it's nowhere near it.
I think it's okay as one definition.
Well, you told me, Ed.
I don't think it's complete.
We both agreed that you need choice to behave morally or immorally, right? You have to be able to choose that, right?
There's different theories on that.
No, it requires choice. There's no way around. You agreed with that, didn't you?
Some people don't believe in free will.
Then how is there morality or immorality? How does that exist unless someone's choosing to do something good or bad?
The definition itself just also the idea of what is good and bad also changes. And the thing is that also what you did bad before can be used later on to achieve something good, right? If you make a mistake or if someone gets hurt, you could adjust yourself later. So it could be a learning experience. So something that's bad can also be good, can be used for good later on.
Okay, but you adjusting is a choice, which means you have to have choice present. You morally adjusted. You need to have, like, choice has to be there, right?
You could have been influenced. You could have been manipulated. You could have been
then you're not
nudged.
choosing, which means you didn't actually evolve. The world made you something different from what you were before.
Is it so bad if you had sympathetic parents growing up versus cruel and abusive ones? I mean, is it really less moral because you were brought up with one set of parents versus the other?
It's not about being less or more moral. I'm saying, are you actually entering the arena of morality if you don't have choice in the first place?
There's a lot of things affecting it. And then also remember that people's, not just your choices, but your perception of those choices and your hormone levels and, your hunger levels and things like that will all play a role in this final decision.
Okay. Let me ask you this for you personally, what you believe in. If a rock rolls off a fucking cliff and hits someone on the head and kills them. Is that rock evil?
Could be good, could be bad. If that person was someone who was very important to me, who had a lot of value for me,
Is the
then
rock
that rock is evil, and I hate it.
is the rock
If
itself?
that rock is
Okay.
hurt someone who's giving me problems, then that rock may be my savior and may be sent from God.
So the rock chose to roll off a cliff and hit someone in the head and kill them, and purposely
If the
targeted.
person's important enough to me, I
I'm not
may.
done yet. And purposely targeted that guy who is bad in your world. The rock did that, or no?
If the person's important enough in my life, I may construct a narrative where this is actually.
No. Fuck your narratives. I'm asking about the rock. Did the rock do that on purpose? Harm a harmer, if you will.
If I perceive it to be so, then it is.
Okay, so it's based on just everything's okay. I get it, the sense of perception. But I'm saying, like, once again, this is hypothetical, and we're trying to find out the mind of the rock that rolled off a cliff. The mind of the rock is saying that guy Bob right there is bad news for Ed. Let me go roll off and hit him in the head.
I could say that God sent that rock.
Okay, but that'd be God. That'd be judging his morality, right? That's him choosing. But the rock itself.
Or I could say the rock was sent by the devil.
Okay, but the rock itself. Okay, the rock is. You're going into the rock is moved by other forces. I'm saying the rock itself is saying, I'm going to roll off and hit this motherfucker in the head and kill him.
I could say the rock is evil or good. Or perceive it that way.
But it has to choose to do something, right? It can't just be by accident.
I could claim that it has self-sufficiency, whether it does or not. It may have, it may not. But I may choose to give it some animus, or I may try to anthropomorphize it. I have my own perceptual limitations, which will cause me to redefine that rock in ways that I can understand.
Okay. Bob says to himself, you know what? I'm a bad guy. He grabs a gun and he shoots someone in the face who has nothing to do with his life. He doesn't know this person. He just wants to
Okay.
he just wants to kill someone. Is Bob evil?
Okay.
Is Bob evil in that situation?
Mm. It's a fictional story, so it can be evil or good.
Okay.
But mostly it's lining up badly.
Okay.
But
it's looking negative, right? Okay. Is the gun evil?
You could say, is he a good killer?
Let's keep going.
Is he good at his job? Or is he good as a moral person?
No, we're not even there. We're just
getting
getting started. Is the gun evil in that situation?
Depends on if it did what I wanted it to do.
Okay. Is the bullet evil? Do you see what I'm saying here?
I would say overall no. But
what's required
people
to make
can
it
assign.
Okay.
People can assign, that evil bullets. People can be very angry with these things and assign a lot of, spirituality and content to these things.
Yeah, people can have perceptions of things, but I'm saying in your mind, when Bob goes and murders someone with a gun, are you looking at the bullet like, you fucking evil bullet, fuck you, Bob, you're good. Fucking bullet, fuck you, bullet, how dare you? Do you do that? Or are you like, yo, Bob, pulled the trigger?
Usually not.
So in that,
some people do though. Some people blame because they have an emotional attachment to Bob or whatever.
What do you think?
They cannot emotionally bring themselves to actually accuse this person, so they will actually blame the bullet. This does happen, but as explained to me, no, Bob is to me clearly the problem of the situation. But for some people, it will not be that way.
For people who blame the bullet, can they say to themselves, like, well, the bullet chose to be in that gun in that moment and fire directly at this person that Bob killed? Like, the bullet chose to do that. So that's why they're so bad. Can that person actually do that?
Some people do that. Some people
must be wrong no matter what I say. I'm fucking
Some
right,
people
bro.
give...
I thought I explained that.
Some people give sentience to objects that are not... Or, they do that with animals a lot more, too. Not saying that animals don't have some level of sentience. But they will assign sentience to everyday objects.
Oh, of course I can. I'm asking you, though. What do you think?
Sometimes I do this.
Saying the bullet's like, you know what? I'm hitting that motherfucker right there. But first, I need that gun to fire. And before that, I need Bob to fire the gun. I need all these chain of events to happen
But
so
we
that
have
I
this
can
saying, right?
choose
Guns
to
don't.
go hit this person in the
We have
head with a
this.
bullet
We
with
have this
myself.
saying, guns don't kill people. People kill people. But some people, assign more levels of blame to the gun, and some people assign more levels of blame to the shooter.
So let's say Bob is just an open carry guy. He's not looking to harm anyone, but the gun falls out of his pocket, hits the ground, fires. Are we like, damn it, that fucking bullet? You chose to be
Could be, yeah,
you chose
absolutely.
to kill him, didn't you, Bullet? You chose that, didn't you?
What about spoiled food that causes sickness or death, right? Is that food evil? Not really, but people might assign it and say it's, that evil, food harmed my
Okay,
friends
there's
or harmed
perception,
my
but then
loved one.
there's the philosophical argument in front of you that I don't think you're addressing really. And it was mainly asking you, but like, what do you think? But
I am flexible
I think
and I
I'm
do.
in a I'm wrong no matter what territory right now. I'm like, okay, fine.
No, I just do I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying it's just part of it. You know what I
No,
mean? I
fair
said
enough.
there's many
I
possibilities.
just don't think
I'm
you're
not saying you're wrong.
engaging. I don't think you're engaging with the question too much, though. That's okay. Fair enough. In my opinion, choice is needed to do something good or do something bad. It is necessary to be more to try to do something once again to attempt morality or immorality
I, I
requires a
think
choice.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I just want to just present the possibility that other things may also exist at the simultaneous one.
Well, I'm considering that for sure. Or sorry, already considered such things, which is how I got to my conclusion in the first place. That's why that's how I'm here
Okay,
in the first
but
place.
I'm not saying you're wrong, right? I think it's most people think that way, but sometimes I think it is the other situations are definitely in effects and need to be accounted for.
Fair enough. They are accounted for in my mind. I'm just saying, I truly believe it boils down to what I'm saying. Like the idea
Okay.
that the guy on screen is talking about, that Philip Zimbardo is bringing up, of heroes and villains. You can't be a villain without choosing to do the bad things, right? Based on his
I think you can
idea of
be.
things. No,
I think you can be.
I mean, like, be that thing, not someone perceives you as that, right? That can happen at any time, right? You could be Jesus and perceived as a villain, right? That actually is the story, right? He's perceived as a villain.
Sometimes people are careless. Sometimes people are caught in bad situations.
Okay, but
But
his matter of fact idea of heroes and villains is what I'm talking
or
about.
just losers. Sometimes just by losing they become a villain, not because of they're a particularly bad person, but just because or someone else has to be a hero. This person is not really done anything really super wrong or is really a bad person, but they need to be a villain so the other person can be a hero.
Okay, fair enough, but I'm going with his stated in words version of heroes and villains, and
Yeah,
he's
okay,
leaving choice
he has
out.
his own, I feel like he's going into a separate rabbit hole, which is fine, but I think it's just one hole out of many possible. So I can go with him on this journey, but I don't accept it as the whole truth.
No, yeah, I'm actually disagreeing with him because he hasn't explained enough, and also his thesis so far is leaving choice out of the equation while he's defining, like, well, this guy's a good guy because he, paid his taxes and won some medals in the army, but he became a bad guy when he started torturing, which are both matter of fact statements, right? Of like, hey, you won some
I
medals, you
see some
saluted, you're good. Hey, you torture someone,
I
you're
see some
bad.
value there. I'm not saying it's completely 100% right all the time, but I do see some
Is it opposite?
instances where, it's relevant.
Yes, but I think it's, I mean, patently obvious. I think it's incomplete in regards to the word. Once again, the words being said out loud and the thesis where he's going towards. I'm like, damn, you're missing. There's too many holes in this thing to actually get a real, hold on what you're actually saying, right? Without,
I do think it's overly simplistic to use this word heroes, villains, and I think he's just kind of like, but he's his where he's trying to go relies on certain assumptions. So you have to like kind of accept it to like go down the pathway that he's trying to lead you. But yeah, I think it is fair to say that, I don't want to take these I don't really accept these assumptions, which I think is correct. But if he wants to do that, he's allowed to say this is my definition, and I need you
yeah,
this is my grander idea. Sure, okay.
no, I agree. Except the thing is, like, I am going down the path of maintaining me while I'm going down the path that he's pointing out to me, in words at least, in my opinion. And I'm
Okay.
seeing flaws all over the place. I'm seeing some flaws here and there, and it's hard to move on past those flaws because your main thesis about heroes and villains, people that are good becoming bad, people that are bad doing good, on and so forth, right? Uh, I'm having a hard time, like, they're too flawed for me to be like, to really look past it. The idea that he's good because he was in the military and won medals, and he turned bad when he started torturing people in Abu Ghraib, right? That's not good enough. Not only on a detailed level, but also on a thesis level like that. How are you defining good again? Like, what makes him good because he won some medals in the military, right? Or he makes his kids brush their teeth before they go to bed. Does that make him a good person?
Maybe he means good by reputation.
Which is not good, right? That's not the definition of good.
Can be for him in this instance.
If that's his definition, then I'm like, you're so fucking wrong, and it's kindergarten level. Aren't you like a
No two people can share all priorities or positions. So for right now,
yeah?
if he
But
wants
some
to really
things don't stand up to
give
scrutiny.
importance,
Some things just don't stand up to scrutiny. They just get
I don't agree
dissolved.
with it either, but I think he's allowed to make that his priority if he wants to.
Not about allowing. It's are you right or wrong based on whoever's listening, and based on me listening, I'm like, no.
I think it's right for him at this moment, but it's not right for me. But if it's right for him, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't trust him to guide me anywhere, but I think that he's allowed to make this kind of
Not about allowing. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
Fair enough. And of course, he's allowed to say words out loud, but I think there should be scrutiny from someone. In fact, in my opinion, he should have asked himself these questions already. That's where I'm at. But let's play. We'll play more of this. Not trending in a correct, in my opinion, correct direction. Philip, here we go.
To become heroes. And that's where we're going to take us in a moment. So we have a wonderful website I hope you will visit called lucifereffect.com. So two very dangerous questions were asked by my high school classmate, little Stanley Milgram, who's a little Jewish kid in the Bronx with me. He said, would you electrocute a stranger if Hitler asked you? Could the Holocaust happen in America? People said, don't be crazy. He said, how do you know unless you were in the situation? Everybody likes to think they were good people. I'm sure the Nazi youth thought the same thing. And so he did an experiment back in 1963.
Forgive me, once again, I have to pause it. In my humble opinion, I think people subconsciously recognize, like, this is wrong, this is fucked up. And I think it actually is. Whether you want to look at it as environmental or whatever, God-made intrinsic, I think there's a recognition, like, this is not right. Something about it, right? Like I said before, the baby that gets a big cookie and the baby that gets a little cookie, they're like, wait a minute. How come he got the bigger cookie somewhere, right? In maybe the back of their psyches. Even once again, little babbling babies, right? That can't speak English. They're like, wait a minute. What the fuck? Where's my bigger cookie, bro? Fuck you. Right? Like, unfairness, right? And honest to God, I think any type of thing where the ego like disseminates between this or that, right? Where the mind separates things from each other. These kind of categorical things happen, whether we have words for them or not, right?
I think a key element here is trust, right? So I'm familiar with this experiment, and the thing is that you could trust someone to say, you know what, like I'm the kind of nature where I'm not going to be shocking someone when they're crying out in pain, just because someone's wearing a suit.
Yeah.
Or, right, this experience has been repeated many times, right? And people do tend to do this again and again. So you could start to trust that people will start to follow like maybe they don't inherently plan to be a bad person, but you can trust that they're most likely to follow a certain set of, behaviors.
Yeah.
And that's a different
morality.
trust.
Well, it's not morality at a certain point. Somewhere deeper inside could be the morality thing, where it's, well, I believe, hold on, where it's like, oh, I believe this to be the case, so thus I'm doing this action, right? Because I believe this to be the case, where in their minds, they are being the moral thing, but in reality, if they knew what was actually happening, like externally, they'd be like, oh shit, this is wrong. So yes, there's that play, but that's a little bit different. Whatever. Go ahead.
I think a morality that would be offensive to most people is a morality that kind of shifts and kind of adapts to fill itself into the situation. But I think this is a lot of people's moralities, even though they don't like to admit it. So
Potentially,
you
yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that is a possibility. But I, once again, there's the general word of morality, but I think there is a deeper story to be told, to where maybe someone's actually not seeking to be a good person; they may be seeking approval of others, right? To where is that morality? Like, I don't think so. That's seeking, like, you want social kudos, like maybe getting a medal or a trophy for being the good guy, even though your motives weren't about being a good guy. Your motives were about winning a trophy and have everyone chant your name or celebrate you or shake your hand, right? Or hey, I'm gonna like we see this in like teen movies, right? The kid who's like trying to look like the good guy to impress the girl. Meanwhile, it's like, it's not
We
about.
have different things pulling at us. A desire for consistency, a desire for, you could say, Maslow's needs, or other kinds of different. But there's multiple things pulling us at the same time. And which one of these things wins, or which combination, how it pulls us,
Yeah,
it's
there's many things
not that
pulling,
simple.
many
Yeah.
things pulling,
Hey,
but there's
let me ask you
also, you
this.
could be Batman too if you wanted to be. What do you got,
Let
Dubster?
me ask this. What you just said about if someone was trying to do something good, but it was for like ulterior motives,
Yeah,
would you still call it good what they did?
I
Even if their ethical, well, not ethic, their, I don't know
I'd
the
say can
word
be,
for it.
but it doesn't have to be.
Their intention, their intention was to get the gold medal, but by getting the gold medal, they saved somebody from dropping off a bridge or something.
I get what you're saying,
So,
and that's why I
so it was a good thing they did, but their
no.
intention was not for the purpose of good.
I,
But a good thing still occurred, right?
I get what you're saying, and that's why I've separated terms in regards to that. I say positive. Hey, something positive happened, right? Uh, you know, I don't
Well,
know.
I'm pretty sure the perspective of the person that was helped would still call it good, and I don't think they would make the distinction between positive and good.
Fair enough, but then again, I would call once again, their thesis on good and bad in the world, I'd call that incomplete. If they're doing it the way that you're saying, like, oh well, this is good because a good event happened, but the event may not be happening because of good reasons, right? Good in the sense of moral,
Those
right? There's good
is
in the sense
robbing
of
the rich
positive,
to
and
pay
there's good in the sense of moral. I reserve the word
is
good
robbing the
for
rich
moral, and I reserve the
is ro-
good.
is robbing the rich to help the poor. Is that good?
That's a completely different scenario than what Dubster brought up. That's a little bit. That's different for sure. Now,
That's measured.
now,
Yeah, that's measured, sure.
yeah, and that's where I bring in this thing called moral IQ, where it's okay. Your intention was to help people. I would assume that's like a Robin Hood style thing, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Robin Hood
Let's,
type of
let's say
But you're
situation.
hurting people too.
let's say Robin Hood minus vengeance.
Yeah,
Let's say Robin Hood minus vengeance. He's robbing the rich to give to the poor because he sees the one baby with a big cookie and the other baby with a little cookie. He wants to balance it out, right? Because he thinks that's better. Like, oh, that's good, right? In his mind, right? So thus balancing that out is a righteous action in his mind. But what does he understand about the world, right? Now, if the action of robbing the rich to give to the poor turns the rich into the poor and the poor into the rich, he kind of,
What do you actually do?
by his own assessment of morality, right? He failed, did he not? So thus,
maybe.
if he has a fortune telling power to where he can see what happens when you do certain actions, which would be God, right? That's why God's the ultimate good, right? Because he knows everything that's going to happen and already is happening, so thus he can make the correct moral decision in any scenario, right? That's the idea of that being, right? Essentially, if Robin Hood
Well,
had
if,
those powers, maybe he'd decide differently in
well,
regards
if
to the
we
idea of
follow the
good.
story, the sheriff is always painted to be some kind of selfish lout, and Robin Hood's friends are dependable good guys. You know what I mean? With character quirks that make them endearing. So the story is really told in a way to make us root for one side. So if the bad guys go down and the good guys, have a victory, like sometimes that's celebrated and not necessarily frowned on, as you would say, right? But I do also see the
People
possibility
cheer for
for the turn.
Scarface too, and he's not that.
What's that?
People cheer for Scarface, or
Yeah, yeah.
or the Joker in the Dark Knight movies, or
Yeah, anti-hero.
the guy with the shotgun
It happened.
in No Country for Old Men, right? They're bad
Yeah,
guys,
this
but
could
they're
happen.
cheered for. So it's not exactly that. It's not automatic. It's based on your taste, I guess.
There's many permutations, exactly.
Yeah, but it's not about it's more of your question was about like, is he good or bad? I'd say I put it into my little equation of moral IQ and be like, okay, does he mean well? If he doesn't mean well, right? If he's doing it for trophies or to look good, he's not on the moral scale at that point. For me, my definition of
So,
things.
quick question: Tony Montana, good or bad?
I'd say he'd register a 0 on the moral IQ scale because the point isn't to mean well. The point is to win and then win again and then win some more. Right? When he gets Michelle Pfeiffer, it was like a trophy for him, not like, oh my God, I'm so in love with her. It was more so access to status. And she was like a symbol for that, right? From that to the businesses and running certain guys over. Then at a certain point, it became survival, where it's not even about morale. It's obviously not about moral intention, right? It's just surviving, trying to not die.
But he's a very inspirational figure, right? So he has definitely some character flaws, but he's very inspirational for a lot of people.
Oh, fair enough. But I'm saying my moral IQ scale, he doesn't register on it.
Do all heroes have to be perfect?
Okay, I'll try again with my moral IQ thing. Also, yes, if you wanted, and the moral, if you're trying to be moral, if you're trying to be good, it requires you to demand perfection from yourself. It requires it. There's no way around it. There's no scenario that where you close your eyes, like, I don't feel like it today. There's no fucking scenario where that exists.
Sometimes these character flaws make the story more relatable, or make it more,
I absolutely disagree.
yeah, relatable.
I agree in the sense of the way the world is now. But yeah, it's more relatable. But if they just tried themselves, they might find someone like, V and V for Vendetta as more relatable than Tony Montana, right?
I found
Maybe look
Vendetta a
at
little hard to understand.
fair enough. They might look at Tony Montana as like a oh, you're a cautionary tale more so than you are a inspiration towards what
Oh,
I'm
he
doing.
absolutely is a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, two different scenarios. The one you're saying, Dubster, yeah, if I get what you're saying as in like, oh, something good happened, but there's a reason why I separate the words and say that's positive, because the idea of good I put in a moral lens. Like the ultimate good
Look,
is in the moral
but
lens, and
but
good requires
there's a
intention.
problem with that, man.
How's
There's
that?
a problem with that, though.
What's that?
If you know how U.S. aid is like corrupt,
You're saying USAID or US aid, like they give shit away to people?
AID, same thing.
They're different.
That's the arm.
Different, right? We give aid to Israel.
You,
That's not USAID, right? But you mean like the actual like entity called
no,
USAID?
to the Senate. No, to the sentence you just said. They're same thing. U.S. aiding another country is what USAID does.
It's a different
Selectively, or whatever. USAID selectively provides food to people, and they also fucking provide cover for CIA. So when they are relinquishing the pain of starvation of a child, that is good, even though it's done by a corrupt company doing it for ulterior motives.
It's positive.
Or
a kid got
it's
food
good.
today is positive. That's a positive thing.
That's
if
good.
If someone directly like I mean to give you food
Is
to
it
save your life.
good and bad, black and white?
Dude. You're mixing morality with positive results versus the action of doing good. That's why
Okay,
I
what's the
separate the
opposite?
words.
Positive, negative, neutral. So black, white, and then your gray area. So
What?
is that what you're saying?
No. I'm separating once again. If a rock falls off a cliff, hits the ground, and somehow spurs food for all the poor people across the world, I can't call it. I'm like, damn, that's very positive. But I can't call it good because the rock is just a rock rolling off a fucking cliff. It didn't do it on purpose. It just rolled off and did something. See the difference there?
No, I'm saying not the fucking actual entity that does it. I'm saying the effect from the entity. If a rock
It's
provided
positive.
food,
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay. You're saying once again. There's good in the sense of morality, right? What's required for morality? You have to choose to do something, right? You choose between. If you're Adam, you choose between biting the apple or not, right? You're choosing.
Why? Why are you saying that choice is the defining thing to make something good?
It's not defining.
What
It
makes
has.
that?
It's not defining. It has to be there, though.
Why?
Once again, if a rock falls off a cliff and hits someone and kills them, is the rock immoral? Are they evil?
Why?
Is the rock evil?
Why?
Why?
Why is it evil or good?
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking you.
And that's why I'm asking you, because you're the one denying that good is good because of the entity doing it.
I'm not denying it. I'm putting them in separate categories so that we can make distinctions between them.
Why? That's what I'm asking me. What's your why there?
Because they're different
for the
fucking scenarios.
responsibility.
Because they're different scenarios completely.
No, dude. No, if we're talking bad or evil, then I'm asking the same question. Why is the entity doing it, making it evil or not evil? The fact that it was done, why is that not alone good or bad or evil?
Oh my god. If you walk down the street and you slip on a banana peel and crack your head open and die, is the banana evil? I'm trying to paint the picture for you to realize why I separate the fucking terms. But
That
you're not getting it, I don't think.
That banana peel
Is evil?
was evil.
It's an evil banana peel.
Prove to me why it is not. Prove to me why it is not.
Because
that's what I'm asking. It's not funny.
Okay, I'll answer for you.
To me
There's
why
no
it does
intention.
not.
There's no intention there. There's no intention. I already explained. I already explained to you.
Good and bad on the results.
It caused bad.
It caused.
Tell me why.
It caused evil.
Yeah.
So someone slipping on a banana.
How
peel
do you
and
know that the banana
evil?
peel doesn't have intent from the universe?
Okay. It's like it feels like we're locked into
fate.
Well,
God.
you're different. What you're saying now, Ed, that's different than what Dubs was saying. But I think it's just, I don't know, Jordan has to be wrong thing happening. I don't know. Okay, if grandma is 108 years old, she gets a bad cough one day and dies. The cough is evil, right? Based on your definition.
She died as.
I believe
She died as bad.
No, wait.
I think
So
wait,
no, Ed, do not let him off the hook. So bad is not the same as evil. Is that what you're saying? Or is evil and bad the same thing, or is bad separate from evil? For you, Dubster.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know, because it seems like it's a trap right now.
It's not a trap. You just said it. You said, well, no, it's bad. It's not evil, it's bad. You separated them, didn't you? Right there in that statement?
I could try to.
No, Ed, don't save him. You just said bad, and you said you separated them, right? Right there?
He says it's a trap, like he's being trapped.
It's not a trap. You separated them. The same thing that I just did before, but you You dismissed me as like, how dare you?
I'm just saying what he said.
I got dismissed as like, how dare you do that?
Sounds like I'm getting baited. Sounds like I'm getting baited.
You're a fucking bot, my man. Go ahead, Ed. Go ahead, make your point. You gave up already.
I think
Dubster.
bad is usually a little bit more simplistic, and evil is usually, actually, like you said earlier, this more idea of intent is usually tied with the, you know, you could say like, oh, it was too bad that something happened, right? But evil actually applies, but it doesn't have to, right? And I would actually base it more personally, right? Good and evil based off of, does it align with what I want to happen or what I didn't want to happen? Versus, and most people go good, bad versus right, good, evil.
I can make blue red and red blue if I wanted to in my own psyche.
Yeah,
but we're not.
I think
if I go down that route, like, okay, you define blue as red. Okay, let's look at what you call blue now. Let's examine that. And
I think that's
all of a sudden
I'll tell you why I think
another
it's the best
subjective
way,
game
though.
of like, well, I could switch it around and think that red is blue. Like, well, no, you said this in the first place, so then why not examine that? Why are we so afraid of about ourselves?
Because
why is it stuck
because before,
others?
right? The thing is that when you're talking about the banana peel earlier, right? Like the thing is that you could say that the banana peel itself doesn't have like maybe like a physical you know, mentality, but let's suppose that banana peel is underneath a banana tree. And for some reason, right, like this banana peels like keep appearing at this point and you keep slipping on them, right? And it's causing a ongoing problem. Is it part of a system? Is it part of a cycle that isn't really being seen or understood? So I think that it's
okay.
By basing more of the good and evil within your own definition, it makes more adjustment for your own personal limitations and understanding of the universe itself.
Okay, got it.
Versus
put the tree there?
Attributing something else and saying, I think that this banana peel is capable of this or that. Right? I think that's a little bit more dangerous and can lead to mistakes or misattributions.
You skip some steps here. Why is the tree there? It's just there. It's just there. It drops a banana in the same spot every day, and this person is dumb enough to keep slipping on it over and over again.
Could be causing a cycle, right? Is it part of a cycle? Is it part of a system?
Is that the scenario? Someone just keeps walking on this banana peel.
So
every day.
I'm just saying, like, so even though the banana peel itself may not have its own consciousness, it may be part of a cycle that is causing ongoing problems, right? So then you could say this is something that's evil that needs to be fixed. I mean, evil's a little strong, but if the causation is causing real problems, right? If it's causing some kind of like rot or corruption within the system that's really hurting people, you could say it's enough to be called evil.
Okay, but that's perception. Why are we doing like? We're trying to dig into the philosophical world, not the.
I feel the most honest, and the best way is to lock it into your own perception versus saying, "Oh, you know, like these other things," because you may miss certain things, and at least in this way, it gives me. I feel like it's safer because it gives more of a acknowledgement of your own limitations.
Well, why not? But why skip out on defining terms? Why skip out on that? If someone said like, well,
it does,
listen,
but
I don't like the way that's
more postmodern.
Hold on. If someone's like, I don't like the way I slip on that banana all the time, right? That banana's evil because my perception says so, right? Are you going to not try to understand a banana? You would try to understand it, right? Like, what's it doing? How come this keeps happening? What's it doing? You'd investigate it, right? And you'd end up walking back to the same arena I was talking about in the first place. Is the banana trying to make me slip? Is it a random occurrence in the universe? Like, what is it? Right?
I'll share with you a fun story. Okay, so the thing is that you've been watching what's the show? Game of Thrones, right? This guy Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, actually one of the most effective physicians in modern history is named also Jon Snow. And the thing is that there was actually you know, a lot of times, like public health, right? When people start to watch cycles of like how people get water and stuff like that, actually that was causing the plague. And I believe that Jon Snow was part of solving the cure for the plague, which you could say was an evil thing, right? Was the fleas and was the germs really evil? But caused a lot of pain and suffering and some of the largest deaths, right, in human history. So you could say it's evil in a way. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but that's why I separate the category I'd say like, oh, that's a negative or bad thing. versus evil.
So intent, right? Like the thing is that also the
Yeah.
effects are, I think, are really key here.
Well, that's why,
But then you
once
would have
again, I go back to
then
my
you would
moral
have to
IQ
argue
thing
that
of intention plus what do you know about the world. If you don't understand too much, then the effects won't play out the way your morals might be trying to go towards. You may
Which
you may cause more
right?
suffering by
So
doing an action, right? Even though your intention is to do better
I think by
or
your
to do good.
definition, a plague is not evil, and I think that's fine. But if someone said a plague is evil, I wouldn't say that they're wrong. You get what I'm saying?
I'd ask them to define evil, just like I'd ask the question, like, well, what's up with the banana? What's wrong with that banana?
I'm okay with them saying it's evil. I'm not really
Why stop
100% on
there
board with it.
then?
I
Why
get
stop?
it.
Why are you pushing back on the idea of like, well, let's find out. Like, hey, why do you call it evil? Like, what do you mean by evil? Why is that a bad thing
Because
to
people
ask?
got hurt. Because it's bad for them.
Because it's bad for them. But then I can.
Yeah, like
But then
remember I
those
said like I
fall.
lack good and evil based on
But it falls
my
down to scrutiny.
perception.
It falls down to
Is it
scrutiny.
good for me? Is it bad for me?
The veil of ignorance kills that. Like simple scrutiny kills that off rip. Like logically. So like if you say like, hey, well, it's bad for me. That's why it's evil, right? It's like, well, isn't if
Correct.
the same thing happened to Bob over there, right? Like, well, just by your logic, like that means it's possible to happen to you. So maybe you don't want to. Maybe you want to stop it from happening to Bob too, because if it happens to Bob, it can happen to you, and you're here to protect yourself. Just that's veil of ignorance. That's kindergarten fucking morality right there. But still, that applies, right?
Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it makes sense.
Isn't the fear of that
It's not right all the
happening?
time.
Isn't that
Sometimes
also like, hey, that's bad for me, the fear of it happening? Meaning, if you see someone, hey, someone's going on a killer spree, right? Someone's going on there's a fucking serial killer that hunts people at night, right? You know, that fit your description, like, right? They chase people that look like you every night, right? The fact that it's
Okay.
happening to others is not like, oh, that's all right. That's a good thing. That's positive, right? There's no way you say that, right? There's no way it's probably neutral, right? If your idea is self-preservation, right? You'd be like, holy shit, there's a guy out here that's
I
chasing
could
people
see
that.
some instances where it might
It is
be
opposite,
actually,
no matter what I say.
you know.
No matter what I say, I think.
I'm not saying I'm cheering for it because someone else is gonna get hurt, but you know, like if it's
Okay.
good for me, it's good for me.
No, but that's not good for you. When it happens to someone, like they're targeting people that look like you, and their name is also Ed, and they're just targeting them at night. They don't get to
That's
you.
concerning.
They don't get to you, but in your mind, like that's bad for you, right? Like in your own mind, in real life, right?
Well,
Where you don't know what's going to happen.
It's very concerning. Yeah, it will be very concerning.
Thus, you want them to stop killing people that look like you, and their name is Ed.
Right? Yeah, it'd be very scary. It'd be worried they'd come after me.
So,
I
like,
think
by
they were coming
simple
after me.
veil of ignorance, right? It isn't just like what's good for you by that definition, right?
But it's my attribution of the word good and evil. It is my perception.
But yeah, you can change. You can say, well, you know what? I don't like the word red for red. I want to use blue for red. And I want to use red for blue. Sure, you could do that, but you still have to define your terms, and it has to stand up to scrutiny. Right?
Okay.
Well, then maybe that's what I'm asking. Define good bad versus evil.
I did it with negative and evil, right? And I brought the idea of moral IQ test, right? Intention.
Okay, could you repeat it then? Negative and evil. What is the distinction?
Negative is a perceptual, like what you personally view as like, well, that's a hey, that worked out, right? Like it's something that you personally perceive as a positive thing happening in the world. Something that adds.
Wouldn't I perceive evil too?
What?
Wouldn't I perceive evil as well?
We're getting there, man. I'm separating. You said.
Okay. I got stuck on the word perceive. Sorry.
Okay. Again, positive is I think more in the perceptual thing. Stereotypically would be like, hey, my kid got an A in math class today. That's a positive thing. It's not morally good that he did good in math, right? It's not immoral. It's just that he got an A in math class. That's positive to me, right? Or this kid slipped and fell and slid down a mountain, but somehow survived, and the rescuers found him, and he's all good. He didn't even get hurt. Maybe a couple of bumps and bruises. He's good though.
I've seen
overall. See how that's like?
I've seen many times though.
Okay.
I'm not sure why this works either, because it doesn't make logically any sense. But I'll see a kid get in trouble and the parent go like, "Oh, but my kid's a good student and gets good grades."
Does it,
But what the fuck does that have to do with the other kids doing the right thing or not? But
exactly.
this is used a lot, and a lot of times it
is.
works.
No, it
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, exactly. In fact,
I'm like,
we
what is
do
this
it.
bullshit?
We do it societally, like on a society level, right? Where we have a politician that supports blowing people up. Let's say they blow up children in some sort of warfare action, but they're viewed as like, well, they're good people because they wear suits, they got money, they look a certain way, and they're our government. But if some guy with a towel on his fucking head with an AK-47 does the same thing, that's terrorism. That's evil, right? That's perception shit, right? With that stuff, that they're not actually if they actually had to stand up to scrutiny, you'll see that they're not actually engaging in the moral realm. They're engaging on that positive negative thing that I'm talking about. And in fact, those positives might turn out to be quite selfish instead of the idea of righteous, right, or good.
Okay. So you said positive and negative perception.
Mainly,
What
yes,
is
perception.
good and evil? What is good and evil then?
Well, I
Not
define.
perception.
Okay. When I say good and evil, evil isn't like a thing. It is a lack of good. That's how I define it personally. It's lacking in the good.
But if I'm on the other side of the coin on anything, couldn't I perceive what you're calling evil as I could be calling that good?
Sure. But then it turns back to, once again,
So it's perception.
no, it turns back to the thing that I talked about, right? Where it's intention plus what do you understand about the world? That's my moral IQ score
But,
thing.
but still, once again, if I'm on the other side of the coin, your intention could be good to you, but it could be bad to me in the action.
No. The intention is one thing. The action attached to the intention is another thing. That's the what do you understand about the world. That makes sense?
No,
If my idea,
let me try
hold on.
this.
No, because I don't think you're getting it. Really, what I'm saying. If your intention is to, hey, this person's sick, and your intention is, I want to do the morally right thing, which is attached to helping them, like get them healthier, right? If your idea of helping them get healthier is feed them rat poison, right? You can intend to do well, like, hey, this rat poison really kills all the germs, and thus you'll get better. But in reality, they end up killing them, right, with rat poison. So, like in their minds, they're meaning to do well, but they don't understand too much about the world, so thus they fuck that up, right? And the same goes
I'm
with
not
other
talking about
scenarios.
the understand. I'm not talking about understanding. Let's try this.
You're not fucking hearing
I
me out.
know,
Okay, here we go. God,
dude.
I don't think you got what I just said. But God,
I am going to do good according to me.
Mm-hmm.
And for this example, it's a fake example.
Okay.
It's bad for you. It is. I am.
Yeah, rat poison is
for
could be bad for someone, sure. Like I just said.
no, because that was not good.
No, it was.
Just let me
You
talk.
thought it
Just
was
let me
good.
talk.
You thought it was good. You messed up.
Just let me talk. I got a whole new scenario.
Okay.
Okay. Your this is totally fake example. You're raping some girl, and I think that's bad. You not the real you.
I know.
You get what
But
I'm saying?
still.
So you're in the mindset this is good because you're having sex, and I'm going to stop you because I know it's rape.
So you perceive it as
Both
a
of
moral
us.
good. It's morally good to have sex. That's what that person perceiving it as. I think it's morally good to have sex.
Yes.
Another person's like, it's morally wrong to be raped or to rape someone.
Well, it's morally good to stop the rapist.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, it was an outside person saying, okay,
So
stop
they're
that
both
person.
on good.
Okay, so
They're-
the person's like,
they're
hey, then,
they
morally.
both are seeing good here
Now, once again,
in their own
stare
persona.
Okay, fair enough. But stare at your own example. Morally, it means this is the morally right thing to do is to have sex. You see how like silly
Yes.
that where's So what's the bad thing? To not have sex? That's evil. To not have sex is evil.
Okay,
I have a question. Yeah.
Stop saving him,
we'll
Ed.
try another example. Let's try another example.
Okay. Good.
You have a family.
Yeah.
I want that family.
You want that?
So my
you want
connection.
wait. You want a family, or you want that exact? Like, I want them. I want
like,
these people
as in,
here. Those exact people.
Like like the example of I'm jealous of your wife or whatever.
Okay, and
of you for having that wife or whatever.
Okay, so you want the wife and the kids she had and all that. Like, you want them to be yours instead of this guy's.
You perceive that as good that she is yours. I perceive it as good as in making her my wife.
Okay, so it's morally good to have that lady as your wife. Is what you're saying,
right? And
where's the moral at?
This probably gonna.
So you're immoral if you don't have that wife.
It's.
You're saying it's immoral to not have her as a wife, right?
I guess, sure. Like,
do you see where that goes?
It's
right?
No, walk me through it. That's what I'm asking.
So then he's an evil person until he has that wife. That's the same thing as the same thing as the sex example too. It's the same thing.
He's perceiving the opposite to the other person of everything. You get
what?
that?
Say that again. Say that.
He's perceiving the opposite to all of it for the other person. So
as
if the jealous guy
evil for being with that woman, and he would be good if he was with this woman.
Yes.
And so the guy who's doing that would be good if he wasn't with that wife, and right? He's evil for being with her, but he'd be good if he wasn't with her. And I'm trying to find the morality from his perspective, but would that stand up to scrutiny? I don't think it obviously hasn't stood up to scrutiny. But okay, let's say he believes that means well. Let's say
you're including
the idea
of want.
Let me help you out
into all of this.
Let me help you out. Let's say
you're including the idea of want into all of this.
Let me help you out
because they both want what this wife.
Okay, they both want this girl, which is a normal scenario. It's just the idea of it being moral, like morally, I have to be with this girl. That's hard to go through, but I'll try to fix it up for you. Let's say it's Mother Mary, and the guy she's with is not good enough, but you're good enough. So in some sense of your mind, I should morally be with her because she needs to help her out. Right? I'm trying to help another person out. I need to help her out by being with her versus this asshole, right? Or this random guy.
Does it require one of them to actually be an asshole?
No.
Or could they both be good?
In my definition, one has to mean well.
Fuck.
One has to mean well in the first place, right?
They both mean well. Okay, they both mean well.
No, once again,
so here's a question.
Hold on. The moral scenario you gave me is about the wife and being with her or not, right?
Have you watched the movie or read the book
saving
Misery by Stephen King?
Stop saving Dubster. The moral idea is to be with her is either moral or immoral, right?
I'm not saving them to have my own questions, but it's okay.
No, fair enough, but like you're kind of in a way saved. You're helping them out in a way. But morally, the morals is to be with her, right? Essentially,
I do like to help them. So. Just in this case, it wasn't happening, but okay.
So the moral, okay, someone has to intend to mean well in that scenario. For my definition of moral IQ, right? As far as you have to mean well first, otherwise you don't fucking register on the moral scale. It registers to a fucking zero.
They're both equal on the moral IQ.
No, they wouldn't be. That's impossible, based on the way you define the terms. Right? It's you have to mean well plus what you know about the world. Right? Now, if one guy should be with her and the world somehow the world becomes a better place because you're with them, or the world is a worse place because you're with them, that means like one has a better quote unquote outcome than the other one, right?
Well, we would never know which that would be until later, and actually, we would never know that. You could never measure that.
No, but the point is, but God
because
could, right?
because
Oh my god.
because whichever one happens, the other doesn't happen.
Okay, but God would know, right? If he's the ultimate arbiter of good and evil, right? Then God.
So he sees multiple timelines, like the split of universes kind of thing.
Or he could just know what would happen, as in, hey, where this would go is not what these guys imagined in their minds, right? The guy who thinks he's meaning well by being with this woman, somehow I don't know how that works out moral wise, but whatever. He thinks he's doing the right thing by being with this woman and ends up being the wrong thing as time plays out. Based on his own standards, God can see that. Hey, by your standards, the soul that I made and I know, this is not what you would want based on what's going to happen in 10 years from now. You'd rather not be there in the first place than what's going to happen. Like, right? He knows more about the world. He knows more. So thus, God's moral IQ would be the idea of perfection, right? The perfect score, right? And we're trying our best to figure out what the moral, what is the world, so that when we do meaning well, right? When we try to mean well, it actually attributes to what God's thinking of. Hey, when I help this old lady, it's saving her from a back problem she has that will make her life better in some way, and it'll just live on that way everlasting, right? like that's super duper hypothetical, but it's still like the idea is that's the point of the moral action in the first place, right? And you can't do that moral action without the intention first, right? You have to mean to do well in the first place, even try to register the world as, hey, if I do this action, it's a benefit to the person I'm helping or the situation I'm helping. That makes sense?
It just brings in a new thought that I've constantly heard: is if you had a time machine, would you go back and kill baby Hitler? And
Yeah,
would that actually be good? It would.
That's part of it.
It's like, would that actually be good? Maybe those people he killed needed to die for the timeline that we are in transition of, because God knows better, and God allowed Hitler to be Hitler.
Or God's a like, hey guys, it's your choice. I'm just observing. And hey, if you, based on like once again the Farasa Hobby billiard ball thing, where it's like you hit a shot, and because of the idea of knowing the physics, you know exactly where each ball would go, right? Based on just the idea of contact and force, and all that stuff, right? You know exactly where all the pieces will fall. So thus, hey, if you killed baby Hitler in whatever year, it'll play out this way. Now, the God benefit would be like the full blown understanding, which is, hey, yeah, you killed Hitler here, but it leads to, instead of 6 million, now it's 20 million. 20 years after, where Hitler did it.
Because somebody else came to power.
Yeah, and they somehow they were somehow worse. Somehow they were somehow more negative, if you will, right? And somehow that played out, right? And it's like, well, maybe Hitler was the better.
Yeah, negative minus negative will at least make the number higher.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, you don't have, like, that's why, once again, for us, I would assume the God figure would recognize that we can't just read the future. We try our best to, right? We do. We try our best to, in our own form or fashion. Some try a little bit harder than others, probably. We try our best to, but we don't exactly know. So thus, the real judgment, right? The real judgment coming from the God guy is like, what do you mean by what you were doing? What was your intention behind it? I would think, right? God would know that we don't see the future. So thus, all he can judge is your intention behind doing a certain action, right? Now, how good are we at practicing that in the world? Like, let's say outside of God. How good?
You were talking about this the other day, and it made me think of something.
I got
What's the fucking guy in Star Wars that's a bumbling buffoon? Jar Jar Binks.
oh
You remember
god,
him in the war?
that
You
trash
remember
can
him in the
character.
war?
Life.
No, but the idea of what he was doing in the war, he was just a klutz, and he was like successfully killing the enemy. I mean, like
Yes,
that's
he was
factually, visually, what everybody fucking saw.
he was Mr. Magoo. Yes.
Right. So it was not his intention to be successful at the war. It was dumb fuckery why he was successful at the war for his side.
No, his intention was to help win that war, but how he executed it was once again lower on the IQ scale. He did it by accident. Oops. It's
Okay,
like
I'll give you that. Sure.
it's like you have like you're a fireman, right? You have a giant water hose in your hand, in your arms, right, in your hands, and you're trying to save like an old lady from the burning building, right? You're like, oh my god, let me go save her. You trip and fall. The hose goes off by itself, starts spraying everywhere, and just like takes out the fire, and boom, the old lady's safe now. It's like yeah, my intention was, well, the intention beforehand is the mean well part, right? I'm intending to save someone because that's the right thing to do, right? In their mindset. Then the action to save someone is to, right, uh, take the fire out with the water, right? But your actual moral IQ in that scenario was you should have been more mindful of a curb that you didn't realize would trip you up. And thus, that's why your moral IQ score goes down because you had lack of awareness about the world.
But he got promoted.
Got promoted?
Jar Jar Binks did.
Yeah, well, that's a George Lucas movie, and he's mediocre.
But you get the idea. He
Did you hear the
became
scenario I
like
just
a
said?
war hero,
Okay, but did
and
you
he got
hear the
promoted
scenario I just
to
said
a
though?
senator. Yes,
Okay,
I did.
but did you get the spirit of it, the crux of
I
it?
brought that up. I brought that up because the moral IQ thing. But like, the observation is, dude, this clumsy buffoon did more damage to the enemy than almost anybody.
Okay, but that's not intention, so thus there's no morality behind it because morality requires choice. So thus, once again, his intention was probably to take out as many people as he could, right, in a warfare situation. But he fucked up. He tripped and he fell, and the laser blaster killed all
It
these
worked.
people. Yeah, but he didn't
And it
mean to
I'm
do
sure
it.
you all know the Darth Jar Jar Binks theory, right?
Of course I do.
I support the Darth Jar Jar Binks.
I support the delete Jar Jar
Jar
Binks from
Jar.
Star Wars lore forever and ever. I'm in that camp. Delete them forever. But
Yes.
go ahead, Ed. I'm trying, but it is what it is. What do you got, Ed? Hopefully you remember what you were saying
Let
before.
me say
I'm sorry.
this. Let me say this. I am being contrary to you to explore the idea of
That's
what you're talking
fair
about.
enough. But I think I hit some points pretty succinctly. Once again, not saying I'm
That's why I'm
correct.
doing it.
It's saying that it's not
'Cause
saying I'm good.
I don't fully get it, what you say, but I'm also like hitting walls on the outskirts to see what the fuck you mean. That's what I'm mean.
fair enough. But this is once again, and to be fair, a lot of me within me development of like idea of like words and what words to use with certain ideas, where it's like it's kind of like I'm like my decoder ring versus trying to share it with others, where we might mean different things by different words, right? We may not mean the exact same thing by the same word or all that stuff, right? So that I end up in there, but I also try to work hard at like try to define these things at the same time. And yeah, it's weird and it's hard to explain such abstract ideas, but I do my best to make it as white swanny as I can. Yeah. But do you remember your idea you're going to say, Ed? Do you remember it?
Oh no, oh, I do actually, but like okay, you know the lady from Misery?
Uh, Bates.
The actress or the
What's her
character?
name? Kathy Bates?
Yeah, Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Do you
her?
think she's evil?
As the character?
She seems to be deluded.
The movie, I don't remember so well.
So the intent might not be there. So do you think that? Do you think
The
she's still?
intent
Do you
was
think
to
she's
spend
still
more
evil? Though?
time with him.
Okay. Well, her mindset could be, I want to love them as much as, I'll love them the most in the entire universe. Maybe in our perspective, dark, creepy way, right? And it's a horror movie, to be honest with you. But once again, what does she understand about the world? If she wants to love him, how much does she know about him? If it's all about a fantasy within her mind, then she's not really knowing him. So thus, it's hard to have a good moral IQ score on that one, right?
Oh, there was layers to the things she's wanted from him too. She wanted him to
Well, she
finish
has
the
some
book.
obvious,
I don't
right?
remember
Some
the
kind
movie
of
too
like
well. Honestly.
mental issues, right?
Yeah, she could be perceiving things. Right? There's the idea of the guy who has, let's say, schizophrenia, right? And they see demons everywhere and they go out on a murder spree thinking they're killing demons. I'm stopping evil. See, look, I'm doing this. See? But in reality, if you put them on a moral IQ, for me, in the way I judge moral IQ, like, well, how much do you understand about the world? And you find out, like, well, they're not actually demons based on that person's definition of demons. They're just seeing an aesthetic where it's like, they must be evil. I'm going to go kill them. Right?
So right, like so she means well, but she's actually falsely imprisoning a person and even breaking his legs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a
Yeah.
very, very low, if she means well.
I'm sorry,
Very,
breaking
very,
up.
very,
Yeah.
that'd be a very, very low on the moral
But
IQ
would you say she's
scale.
evil?
No, I don't call people evil. But that's, I'm just saying she'd score very, very,
Okay.
very low on the moral
Just
IQ
wanted
level.
to clear that up. Okay, good. That's all.
Okay, fair enough. Once again, the lowest
I
possible.
just want to understand. That's all.
Okay, fair enough. The lowest possible score you can have on my moral IQ scale is essentially 0, which is what means you didn't have the intention in the first. Like, if you don't have the moral intention in the first place, you cannot register on the moral scale. Puts you at like basically a 0, right? At least the guy.
Well, 0's neutral. You got negative and positive.
Okay, that's your idea of neutral, but I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm saying 0 as in empty. It's absent of good, right? And that's what.
Okay, so like 1 out of 100, and you're saying 0 is completely
absent of good,
worse.
which is what I would call evil in the first place, right? And once again, if someone thinks, once again, you could see in a way, right? It's someone who thinks they're seeing demons and grabs a shotgun and starts shooting people and thinking they're demons. Like, oh, these are all evil. I'm taking down evil, right? It's a low score, but it's not a 0, right? Because they think they're doing the right thing, which is the first start into doing the right thing, right?
Supernatural.
If God is actually, that is an episode in Supernatural, actually.
That's what I meant.
Fair enough. But
The God of God.
The right thing according to who?
Now, hold on. If God is the perfect scorer when it comes to moral IQ, right? Everything that falls below it is a spectrum aiming towards that. You would assume, right? As in the being that knows all about all of the world and all of the everything going on, plus the intention of meaning well, right? If God is love and compassion and all that stuff, right? So it's meaning well plus knowing all of it. So thus, that's the score we're aiming towards. Even if we can't reach it or achieve it, we still aim towards that. That's why the absence of that thing, right? The absence of meaning, well, that 0 score is essentially the opposite of God.
So Lucifer, for example.
Depend on definition of that. I have some ideas with that character as well. Or like, what if he's
So you're not calling him a 0 on this scale?
Well, what if? Because it depends on how you define it.
If you go by the show Lucifer, he's trying to become God basically, and just write things differently. So then that wouldn't be the 0. It would be alternating the path.
Does he mean Does he mean well in those scenarios, or does he just mean to get power? Does he just mean to get power, or does he mean to, like, the love thing that God represents? Is he meaning in that direction, or is he just meaning to just win?
Well,
Or
he does love
revenge?
in the show Lucifer. He does love, but God made that person love him. So I don't know how to fucking manage that.
I don't know the show, to be honest with you. I've seen like a couple episodes. Was it God trying to like get Lucifer back on his team? Like, hey man, come back to the good by sending love towards him? Maybe? Is that the idea in the show? I don't. All right.
There's layers to the character. Her name's Chloe.
Fair enough.
I
But
couldn't exactly answer the question you asked.
okay, I don't know the show at all. But either way, uh, someone, if their main goal is, and I mean, like, once again, self-serving is not something that I view as 100% negative or bad or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Can't be,
No, like in a,
in my opinion.
I mean,
In
like,
my opinion.
like a narcissistic self-serving, where like, yeah, that's kind of blatantly that's absent of consideration of your existence, basically. It really is, in my opinion, at least. My idea of narcissism. And it's like, how can that be
Oh,
considered a meaning well action? I don't see it.
well, what if it was, I want all this power, but to get all this power, I have to start providing things for others.
Then no, that's still 0 on the intention scale. Thus, you register as a 0. That action and your moral IQ surrounding that action is a fucking 0. It is what it is.
I mean, well, Elon Musk inventing things. Let's say,
Why I make a
I'm
separation
guessing you wouldn't
between
put him as
positive and negative
you wouldn't
versus good and evil. I beat them as different
you
things.
wouldn't put him as a 0, Elon Musk, right?
I don't know exactly. In a real philosophical conversation, I don't know. But
Okay.
we're doing politics. Let me take
So,
a guess here. I believe the meaning well part has been absent from that guy's psyche for quite a long time. Quite a long time.
100% gone.
Damn near. Potentially. And this is what people would call psychopaths or psychopathy, right? Where
So
they bury that part of themselves. They bury it because maybe someone hurt their feelings or they suffered some sort of event in their lives that made them
Actually, I do want to
bury it. What's up?
I want to bring up something you said earlier,
Okay.
more towards the beginning of the program. I think you said something like, if you had more resources or if you had like, a better life or something, that you would probably commit less crime. I think you said something like that, correct?
I was quoting the lecturer here and attaching it also to Peter Joseph, but also I would agree personally, based on the social conditioning, the way people, the conditioning that happens to people, if they have more sunshines and rainbows versus
I
garbage
would
and crime, they might
I
behave
actually
differently, right?
disagreed with that when you said it. I disagreed with that point, but I didn't say anything, right? The thing is that, I think that when people move through different social stratum, they still have the same personality flaws, but these things are just expressed differently. So they're still doing stuff, but they're doing
I agree.
different stuff, but it's still immoral. So the thing is that when you're talking about Elon Musk in this case, right? Elon Musk has a lot of resources, but you say that he's morally at a 0. He's still, right? And I think that this is another, just to back up my original claim, right? He's still the same person, right? But
Okay.
certain things became enhanced and certain things got pushed away, but he's still doing the bad things.
Okay. Well, let me try this again because I don't think you understood. And this is the thing I brought up with Peter Joseph. In fact, you're making my point I was making with Peter Joseph. Actually, I think you're making the same point basically. But my idea was
Okay, my bad. Okay,
my idea wasn't
maybe
like, hey,
possible.
if you grow up in crime-ridden neighborhoods and poverty and all that shit, right, and these environmental factors, uh, I was saying like, hey, yeah, I believe that if you get rid of those elements and make it into something different, right? Let's say it's just white picket fences, suburbs, whatever the fuck, right? No crime around type of situation, right? Uh, I do believe there'd be less crime. Does that mean morality is now cleaned up? Like, no. Morality requires intention, and you have to know thyself to even start even really aiming in that direction, like really going there, right? But otherwise,
That's a very strange, right? Definition say less crime,
less crime in the sense
right?
of
Maybe
what
the
the
father's
world's
still
defining.
beating the mother, and it's not being reported because now it's like inside of a home that's more, locked away.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Good point.
Hmm?
Once again, that's my point with Peter Joseph. I agree.
What kind of crime?
No, that's my point with Peter Joseph as well, in regards to the idea of this tangle with morality that people apparently don't want to do, and thus they're left to their conditional vices, essentially. But this guy was talking about this guy right here, and Peter Joseph were talking about social scenarios when it comes to social crime based on the social laws we have. And I would say, based on that thing, there'd be less of it. I truly believe that. I don't think there'd be some sort of yes, I'm sure there'll still be people that beat their spouses or their kids and shit like that, right? But I think if you change the conditions around, there could be less of that because they're just following their conditioned programming in the first place, which is unfortunate, but seems to be the case. If the world got worse, they'd fall right in line with that too. Unfortunately, too many people would fall in line with that because conditioning is such a heavy thing for the psyche. I get why, and I get why your base programming and conditioning. I get why we do the things we do in the first place, but at some point there needs to be like that kind of the philosopher's death, man. The separation between those conditioning factors. Stare at them, get them real observation, and then decide what do you want to hold up and what do you want to get rid of. I think it's that's where I go when it comes to that. If that made sense at all.
Yes,
I swear in my
violently.
own head I make sense. I swear I do.
Historical statistics agree with what you just said, so I'm not too lost with that. In the sense of less poverty, there's less crime.
Well, it's just obvious, right?
Historically,
Less
categorically, stereotypically, yes. Statistics agree. Less crime or less poverty, less crime.
but those human things are still there. The human
Mm,
things that need to be
less reported
entangled with,
crime.
right?
Well, you take away something like starvation. You take away something desperation. You take away ambition. Yes, you're gonna have less crime. And these things are
I'm not
related.
so sure about that.
It's let's make it like
Different types of crime.
let's make it a silly scenario for the sake of painting the picture of I agree. The thing I agree with on a conditional level, it's not going to fix the human problem, which means the crime will probably take different forms, right, in different areas. But still, the idea of hey, if everyone has access to exactly everything they need, right? And I mean, even like, let's say desires too. They can just think something up. They can, hey, I want a PS4. Boom, PS4 right next to them, instantly. What would be the point of robbery? That makes
I want to
sense.
be better than the next guy.
No, what would be the point of I'm saying
I want to be
for
better
robbery.
than the next guy.
I want to be better than him by taking his PS4, but he can just dream another one up.
I want to have more than. I want to be more flashy than the next guy.
So the other guy's like, hey, let me just.
So there's no end.
No, but they could just keep dreaming up PS4s forever if they wanted to. I'm saying this is a magical scenario where it's like, hey, there's no actual like, you can have whatever you want whenever you want it. What would be the point of stealing? It'd be a different pathology.
But in this
happening.
case, they'll never be satisfied because there is no end to being better than someone else.
Okay, okay. You're saying on a that's core psychological thing. I'm saying the idea, the law idea of burglary. What would be the point? And I agree. It could
I
take
mean,
different forms of pathologies. Sure, I'm saying like
with
what these guys are
yeah,
saying on a social level. what's the point of robbing things when you have access to anything you want to, whenever you want it?
What would be worth the
There's
risk?
other kinds of crimes that will occur. Crimes of competition, crimes of cheating, crimes of trying
Different
to write
versions of
illegal
pathologies.
use.
Yeah. Am I speaking fucking Chinese,
Yeah.
bro? You didn't hear what I said, man? Yeah, maybe take different forms.
Yeah.
If it's not
Just
dealt with psychologically, yeah, you're gonna probably get the similar results in different arenas. I'm saying, like, to make it as like simple, dumb shit as possible, right? A crazy, batshit crazy fucking example of everyone can just imagine whatever they want to happen and it'll happen for them. When it comes to physical material objects, right? I want a PS4, I can just think of it and boom, it's there. What would be the point of stealing?
And let's say someone
That's what I
did
mean.
steal it. What would your let's say someone did steal your magical made up PS4. Why would I have to get in the debacle of having to defend it? Because I could just make a new one.
Exactly.
because I want you not to have a PS4.
But he could just have one.
But I'm just gonna make a new one.
Exactly. Like, instantly. Like, what would there be? Right, it made it that magical for a reason, to point out like what their point was on a
Like,
social level.
the thief in this scenario can have his own PS4. He doesn't have to steal it.
Yeah. But there are, once I agree with that
Well,
there is
they're,
other
they're in a position of equal power, right? But if the person has that ability, then they have equal power, and I cannot overpower them.
and that's, well,
Right.
I made it strictly
Utopia.
about robbery for a reason, like strictly about robbery.
Yeah.
Strictly that scenario for the sake of, like, hey, they can just make that thing again. So, like, what would be the point? The point would, like, once again, what you're saying on a human level, right?
So, like a communist would make a law, and they would say you're not allowed to make that PS4. I can tell you whether you can make that PS4 or not. It's up to me and my central committee, not up to you.
Fair enough. They may, hey, man, you can't just imagine whatever you want. Although we can all do that. Maybe that happens.
Yeah,
but I'm just,
I could make that law and try to enforce it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if they can make whatever they want at will, then they could also make an army. So I cannot right. If they have the same equal power to me, then I cannot enforce it.
Okay, fair enough. I was just trying to paint
but
a picture.
The struggle for power will be right, especially when you put women around. They start having sexual competition. Yo, all bets are off.
Fucking MGTOW. No, but I get what you're saying.
No,
I'm just saying.
Everyone can make their own Angelina Jolie or whatever.
Oh, that would definitely not work. Because they want the real one.
Wow.
They want to be the guy who got the real one.
If the competition is gone and you're in a position of equal power, then yeah, it's just
I got the real Angelina, bro. I won. You guys are losers. Fucking humping clones.
Some people are just Michael Jordan types. They want to be dominant. They want to be the best. They want to crush everybody else. Like, it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's just a personality type.
I understand, although I think there's some psychological arithmetic that can be looked at in regards to that scenario, or a social archetype like that, right? Especially like in the shadow, Jungian style shadow. But either way, let's move on because we're so far away from the video. I just wanted to paint the picture of like what these guys, what Peter Joseph and Philip here.
I never heard anything of this video. I was just weighing in on you two's conversation.
No, it was a good conversation. I don't mind that conversation.
No, I'm saying I didn't hear any of this video.
Well, actually, because we took such a long break from the video, let me just do like a quick recap so even you can catch up too, I guess, Dutcher. The idea is the Lucifer effect, which I believe this guy coined the term. Philip Zimbardo. I believe he coined the term. I could be wrong about that. But it's the idea that, you know, environmental things can put pressures on an individual to make them do good or bad things. Hero versus villain.
I agree with that.
Good action versus evil action, right? That's kind of his thesis. I, so far, have had plenty of questions and disagreements with him, but the
overall premise of that, I could agree with.
Well, the idea.
Are you saying?
Well, he made it. He didn't define good and evil off rip, that's a difficult thing to do in the first place. But you should make that a part of your lexicon of what you're talking about, because you can't just say. He said actually during the lecture, "Hey, he's talking about the some of the soldiers that worked at Abu Ghraib, right? And we're doing torture with these guys, right? Torture with the prisoners. I mean, a lot of these guys weren't even involved in any type of quote unquote terrorism. There's guys they picked up and just started torturing. They tortured them, right? Didn't have any actual information. But the way that he signed, like, hey, what these guys are doing here is evil, but before he's a good guy. What made a good guy turn evil? That's basically part of his premise. And I'm like, what made him good? Well, what made him good, according to Philip here, is that he was a good serviceman. He served his country. He got some medals. I'm like, how is that your defining factors of someone being a good person, right? It's like it's too matter of fact and too socially laced to be like a real
Well,
definition of things. Oh God.
I couldn't argue that, but I would argue that if I am in the middle of the woods alone and I know that I can eat snails to survive, I'm gonna eat snails. Now, if you pick me up and put me in a city and all I have is the knowledge of the woods, and a snail walks by, wouldn't I just be, hey, that's food?
Okay. Well,
So that I am I know what I know from being in the woods, and then everyone else would look at me like that's disgusting. Why are you doing that? Well, I mean the French wouldn't, but you get what I mean.
escargot. Now, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, there is reflective, like, potentially reflective properties of the psyche in the first place. Because otherwise, we'd still be in caves, right? Eating snails, right? How come cities now exist now? What happened? Some sort of observation and reflection happened, right? To where it wasn't just I just am what I just see around me. Because if that was the case, you would never change, right? Sorry, societies themselves would never change. We'd still be in
But I
caves
mean,
eating snails.
well, no, what you said was the
They thought about
the nat the nature around you can make you good or bad. So if you're
his idea.
literally in
Yeah.
nature, if you're literally in nature, like in the wild fucking forest, desert, whatever, all alone, and you're operating a certain way, and like I just gave snails for example, but the whole idea of just surviving, thriving in the woods,
Yeah.
and then you get picked up and placed into a city. You don't know what a job is.
Yep.
You don't know how to operate like that. Your nature is completely changed around you. You're going to adapt. So the fact that adapt is even a thing, like that is gonna apply to holy shit, I'm behind if I'm picked up out of the woods and I'm brought into a city and let's say I'm like Tarzan and I'm fucking 32 years old when this happens.
You're Brendan Fraser.
Okay, this is yeah. So I gotta adapt to the world around me. I gotta be either good or I gotta be bad or I just gotta be like they wrote him as if he was like perfectly good. The character Tarzan.
Yeah.
Like he did good beyond measure. But why couldn't I write it as in he's like experiencing the world and dealing with it and he's not good or bad, he's just adapting as he does and he makes mistakes. And then there are scenarios where he does do things that are shortcuts, which are like the idea of
Is that
for
Jane?
some people that's
Who's
bad.
this hot white chick?
That
Jane. Sorry, God.
shortcuts are like a thought process of bad, like you're cheating and stuff.
Eh,
So, and he's like, I'm 32 years old. I got to take shortcuts because I got to catch up with the other 32-year-olds that already know how all this stuff works.
yeah. Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Although in practicality, I think it would work. I think he'd absorb so much that he potentially could outflank the other 32-year-olds because he's in their world, but with a different perspective. So thus he can see. He's not locked into the norms, right? So he's not like there's no like you know hidden in plain sight. Nothing's hidden from him. He sees it all, right? Because everything's brand new to him. Just those guys are normalized to it, and thus they don't pick up on things that are happening around them
Well,
because it looks normal.
what I'm
Perception-wise.
saying
But I
is,
get what you're saying now. I just said that as a side note, but yeah,
let's say there's 5 Tarzans in the world that are like that, and they all get placed to different cities. They never cross each other's path, but they're all doing this. Are they all going to be morally to Tarzan's level, or are they all going to do things their own way? And like, are
depends.
they all going to end up being morally perfect, like the character Tarzan was portrayed as? Like,
Depends. If they're conditioned followers, if Tarzan's doing something, they might just follow that, which is to me not morality. That you're just a follower, right?
well, what
So it might do
what
the
if
exact opposite.
one
It's
one
also
of these 5, yeah, one of these. What if there's a reason to do something that's easier, and it's presented to them, and it's what we perceive as bad?
uh,
One of these 5
one of
might do
these.
it.
Yeah, sure. Once again, someone could follow Tarzan because he's the leader, and condition wise, they're doing that in a condition factor, or even like something above loyalty, or something above just following your leader, like trust, which is love. Say, oh, I love this person, so you know what? I trust that whatever they're gonna do is probably the right thing to do, right? You have someone who could be like a rival doing the exact opposite, right? I'll do the exact opposite because you know what? I don't actually like this motherfucker. There could be someone that has a different hierarchy of loyalty, which it could be to tradition, right? Like, hey, we came from here. This is what we do. So when they see Tarzan putting on suits and stuff and trying to adapt to the world, like, fuck, Tarzan, he's a fucking sellout. I'm gonna go the other direction, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of scenarios. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, for me, it was I got into drugs. It was because like I got on a downer because I started to fucking see that I had no like actual potential in sports. That's kind of was big fucking realization. Like, come on,
Yeah.
freshman team, and I'm on JV, and I'm 50-50. That means I'm not good enough to go fucking to college on a fucking scholarship. Like that,
Yeah.
that realization came to me at a certain point.
Okay.
It kind of fucking broke my spirit, whatever.
Understandable. Yeah.
So something like that with these 5 Tarzans from the jungle, they come across something in the city that they were all placed in, different cities. Like, oh fuck, dude, this isn't like the jungle. I can't fucking make it. I need to fucking cheat.
Yeah.
I just gotta fucking give. I'm kind of giving up, but I'm also trying to still make it.
Well, yeah, and that's for everyone, right? If they have a desired goal, a desire in mind, and their understanding of the possibilities of getting there could be
Right?
a
If
certain
you're
a
not
certain amount of
Michael Jordan,
paths.
if
Oh
you're not
yeah.
Michael Jordan, what are you gonna do? Well, I gotta fucking do this. Fuck, dude, I gotta take steroids.
Some Tarzan fool like just Jose Canseco, just I'm gonna beef up and just start smacking like 60 home runs a year. You know what? Fuck it. I gotta win somehow. No, but that's those are like human element things in my opinion. But all right, I really do. I want to get back to this video because we're 2 hours in. Honestly, although I love this conversation, I do. But he's gonna go on to the fucking Milford or Milgram experiment. We just reset real fast. Sorry, guys. There we go. What the fuck are you playing, Ed? Like an icon next to your name. What game is that? You playing porn games? There you. Anyways, let's get back to this video. Here we go. Back up a little bit more. Here we go.
And that's where we're going to take us in a moment. As creative or destructive, and it pushed some of us to be villains. And you know what? The same situation pushes other of us to become heroes. And that's where we're going to take us in a moment. So we have a wonderful website I hope you will visit called lucifereffect.com. So two very dangerous questions were asked by my high school classmate, little Stanley Milgram, who's a little Jewish kid in the Bronx with me. He said, would you electrocute a stranger if Hitler asked you? Could the Holocaust happen in America? People said, don't be crazy. He said, how do you know unless you were in the situation? Everybody likes to think they were good people. I'm sure the Nazi youth thought the same thing. And so he did an experiment back in 1963. Many of you know about it. Were asked by my high school classmate, little Stanley Milgram, who's a little Jewish kid in the Bronx with me. He said, would you electrocute a stranger if Hitler asked you? Could the Holocaust happen in America? People said, don't be crazy. He said, how do you know unless you were in the situation? Everybody likes to think they were good people. I'm sure the Nazi youth thought the same thing. And so he did an experiment back in 1963. Many of you know about it, but before I briefly present the study, let's ask the question, why did he do this research, which many people think was the most unethical research ever done until I did my study?
Of incidents such as the massacre of millions of men, women, and children perpetrated by the Nazis in World War II, how is it possible, I ask myself, that ordinary people who are courteous and decent in everyday life can act callously, inhumanely, without any limitations of conscience? Now, there are some studies in my discipline, social psychology.
It's probably because your idea of good was not a real idea of good. That's probably how and why, which is what I was arguing about in the first place. And which is why I work so hard to define certain things. Because I can't let it, this is how things happen, bro. That's why I scream about conditioning. I scream about yo, we need to break that shit down and then pick and choose what you want from there, right? If you want to do this or do that, do your thing. But at least make sure it's you doing it, in a real way not in a, it's a borrow of a borrow, essentially. It's your perception of something, but you believe you're borrowing it from the world on a subconscious level to where it's almost third hand, let alone second hand. And thus, it's almost like you're not there until it's too late. And now you're doing an interview in a documentary saying, man, I really fucked up. I scream this day and night, bro. All right, let's apply. There we go.
Life
Sorry
can
for the
act
volume.
callously, inhumanely, without any limitations of conscience. Now, there are some studies in my discipline, social psychology, that seem to provide a clue to this question. The problem I wanted to study was a little different. It went a little bit further. It was the issue of authority. Under what conditions would a person obey authority who commanded actions that went against conscience?
So in his study, he tested 1,000 ordinary people from 2 small towns in America. No students.
Sorry, real quick, before he goes on. Once again, some of them might view, depending on where they're from and all that stuff, they may view one thing where it's not the core merits of it. If it had to stand up to scrutiny, has actually nothing to do with morality. It actually is because the person maybe looks like you, potentially, or they're from the same country as you, or whatever. Even same country, but just socially, in a way, socially created, perceived differently. A gangbanger in Chicago gets treated differently than Donald Trump blowing people up. They're both killing people, potentially, or harming people, if you will. But one's perceived way differently than the other, right? Which is what I would ask Milgram right here. We all get it with the idea of Nazis, right? But let's go to a full understanding of, what is the good or bad of the situation? Let's fully try to understand that rather than just go with, they were decent guys and then they did bad. Were they decent people? Were they? And the same goes with the gangbanger. Same goes with the dad that beats his wife at night.
I'm
or
sorry
the
to say
president.
though, right?
Yeah, God.
You see this guy with his beard and his glasses?
The no mustache goatee. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, God.
You see this guy with his beard and his glasses in front of this kind of these bushes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like he's straight out of a satanic ritual movie.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Do you see that?
I see like the 60s or 70s there, but I don't. Devil. What?
He looks he looks like he's like in a BBC like production, like playing like a Satanist or something.
Nah, dude. I see baseball players have that shit. The no mustache goatees. I hate them, but I see baseball players have that shit all the time.
He looks like a Satanist character
Or in my head.
from like a BBC documentary or something.
Like,
With the beard, the glasses, and the bushes behind him, and the suit.
there's this guy like, so why did you kill those 17 college girls? They had it coming, let me tell you. They had it coming. All right, let's apply. Here we go.
Authority, who commanded actions that went against conscience.
The devil
So in
told
his
me
study,
so.
he tested 1,000 ordinary people from 2 small towns in America.
What does ordinary mean?
No students, men aged 20 to 50, but he also ran women in another study. And so in the study, there's a learner who has to learn
I showed up,
material,
would it fuck their study up?
and a teacher has to teach them the material, and the authority in their lab coat. The authority starts off as just. He wants to help
like,
people.
for real, bro. Like, that's not like I'm bragging, bro, but like, honestly, like, if they somehow picked me somehow to be a part of their experiment, would it fuck up their experiment? It'd probably fuck it up, wouldn't it?
You'd be the person they're electrocuting.
No, it's a fake. That's the point. All right, here we go.
And so in the study, there's a learner who has to learn material, and a teacher has to teach them the material, and the authority in their lab coat. The authority starts off as just. He wants to help people improve their memory, but over time, even though the victim, the learner, is yelling and screaming, "Let me out," he says, "We can't let him out. You have to continue to shock." So he puts pressure on the teacher to shock more and more. Evil begins with 15 volts. When you press the first button, he doesn't even feel it, and each successive increment is 15 volts, 15, 30, 45. As it escalates, the learner in the other room starts screaming, and you are good, most subjects are good, they turn to the experiment and say, "Sir, who'll be responsible if something happened?" The experiment says, "I will be, I'm the experimenter, you must go on." The question is, who would go all the way to the last button, which is 450 volts, danger, severe shock? When Milgram asked a number of people, experts, what percentage of all Americans would go all the way, they said 1%, only sadists. In fact, they couldn't be more wrong. These were psychiatrists who only studied the dispositional orientation. 2/3 went all the way to 450 volts. Now, this was only one study. Milgram actually did 16 different studies. And what you see here is putting a dial on human nature. You can eliminate the effect, or you can make it go over 90%. In study 16, if you see people like you go all the way, 90% of the time, you go all the way. In study 5, if you see people like you rebel against unjust authority, you know what? You rebel. That means we are powerful influences, social models for good or evil. The way we behave influences all the people who observe us. And this is one of the important messages of the study. Women are in study 13, no different from men. How else can good people be seduced into evil deeds? By dehumanizing the victim, mentally making them into animals, less than human. And we know in Rwanda in 1994...
That one, to me, is a big one, although it's still like a kind of a collective condition thingy, right, of what even dehumanizing means, right? But still, the overall idea of dehumanizing, yes. Of making, let's say, dehumanizing might not be the most correct term. It works, but it's not the most correct. Maybe it's like saying this person is lesser than I am. Not on a, hey, I'm better at basketball than this person is. It's more of like, as a being existing, you are on a lower level. Right? You're an ant on the sidewalk versus me, who's like more important by God's eyes, by society's eyes, by my own eyes. I'm above you. That's what actual dehumanization is, in my opinion. Or what's meant by
Alright, I gotta
dehumanizing.
go to bed.
Yeah.
You guys have a good one.
All right, dude. That's what I think is like meant by dehumanizing. Although, once again, I try not to treat ants worse than people. Or, sorry, yeah, I don't try to treat them worse than people. I treat them equally as my fucking rug or my computer or whatever the fuck. Personally. But, all right, here we go.
the victim, mentally making them into animals, less than human. And we know in Rwanda in 1994, the Hutu government went on the radio and said, your neighbors, the Tutsis, are cockroaches. Suppose your house was filled with cockroaches. What would you do? You would kill them. They gave every man a machete, every woman a club. In 100 days, they killed 800,000 or more of their neighbors. So the line between good and evil is not an abstraction. It cuts through the heart of every human being. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Russian poet and prisoner in Stalin's Gulag Archipelago, reminded us. And that gets us quickly to the Stanford Prison Study. We put an ad in the Stanford newspaper, in the city newspaper, but we wanted students in a psychological study of prison life for an experiment that was going to last 2 weeks. 75 people answered the ad. This was not Stanford students, but students in the Bay Area finishing summer school. We gave them personality tests, clinical interviews. We picked 24 who were the most normal, most physically healthy, and then we randomly assigned. Have to be prisoners, have to.
What does that mean, normal? Physically healthy even? Like, what does that even mean? Oh, they have a good heart rate. You know, they did like 20 push-ups and they have a good heart rate. They're normal. What does that mean on a psychological level? Like, you're testing and looking for factors that aren't exactly, they're part of psychology, but they aren't psychology itself. If they come from certain backgrounds and have a certain resume of social behavior, does not mean doesn't mean like, oh, they're healthy. Because look, this guy is he's third year in his school, he's top of his class in grades. Right? That does not mean healthy-minded and normal. It doesn't have to mean normal at all. Or if they're physical attributes, like, oh, look at his brain waves here. He's got it. Good enough, right? Normal. So, like, these terms that they're setting as that, it's almost like they can, not calling this guy nefarious, but you could fucking fudge the numbers and fudge the experiment in a way by doing that. Right? If you consider, like, hey, who the fuck would sign up for this? Maybe that's maybe it's an archetype. Maybe it is. A human archetype or something like that. A social archetype of personalities that might show up for an experiment like this. Maybe that's your deciding factor of, like, why they all went apeshit and started harming each other as, you know, prisoners versus guards, right? In like a prison scenario. But, okay, let's back up. Let's apply. It's just like, to me, that's, maybe he's doing that for the speech. There's more detailed information here, but, like, on the surface, I'd be like, that's lazy. If it's the way he's explaining it, that's a lazy way to do an experiment to me. But let's apply. Here we go. Just to me,
finishing summer school. We gave them personality tests, clinical interviews. We picked 24 who were the most normal, most physically healthy, and then we randomly assigned. Have to be prisoners, have to be guards. The prisoners became numbers, wearing smocks, and the main thing is prisoners were made to feel powerless. The guards were made to feel powerful with symbols of power, with nice uniforms. And the first thing the guards did is say, we need rules that limit the prisoners' freedom. It began just like you saw.
Fucking relative, dude. Come on. You know, like, Philip. Come on, Philip. You know better than that, man. Come on. That's an easy one, too. Right? What are the things that younger people wear for style and fashion, from kids to celebrities? Sometimes the shit that, like, isn't that supposed to be for, like, the poor? Where you have, like, holes in your fucking jeans or dirt on your fucking, you know, Converses, right? Like, oh, your shoes are dirty. But that became a style for a minute, right? Or you see, like, you know, acid wash, like, jeans or holes in jeans, holes in shirts, where that became cool. Jail style, like, you're in prison style attire became cool. Like, it's more privilege. It's more whatever he said, more you know, cared for garments, right? Because they're wearing prison uniforms. That's relative. It's extremely relative. Where the thing that you're actually trying to get at is conditioning, but setting the circumstances this way, it's only telling me about the conditioning of the world they live in right now versus, and the society that they live in right now versus telling me about good and evil when it comes to human beings. Right? That there's something you have to take care of first to get to the good and evil part. But maybe he's just using good and evil as, like, bland words and not actually about real study of the concepts of why do people do bad things in the world based on based on Philip's standards. Why do they do bad things? He said torture, right? He said torture's a bad thing. That's evil. He called Dick Cheney himself evil, right? In this lecture. Hey, let's figure out how these things. Okay, why do people do shit like that? Is it strictly conditioning? Is it strictly that? I think it's a part of it for sure. 100% part of it. But I think there's more factors to consider here, in my opinion. Because if you're not okay, how do you attack the conditioning? Like, what do you do to deal with the conditioning, or do you just say it is what it is? Whatever your conditioning is, you're stuck with that. That's you. You're stuck there. And I full scale disagree with that. What's at play? Here we go.
Rules that limit the prisoner's freedom.
It's like
It
psychology
began
with
just like
chains
you
on
saw
it
in Abu
instead of-
Ghraib with menial tasks, push-ups, other things, but it always escalates to more and more degrading, humiliating activities, cleaning toilet bowls out with your bare hands, prisoners stripped naked, and it always goes
you
in the
found a bunch
sexual
of frat boys,
dimension,
like, of course it's gonna
stripping
happen.
naked, sexually
Like,
taunting them, sexually degrading them, again, as you saw in Abu Ghraib.
It's frat boys. Yeah.
In 36 hours, the first prisoner we selected because he was normal and healthy had an emotional breakdown.
It's
And
like
did the
frat
guards
boy
ease up? No,
hazing.
they got worse. And each day thereafter, I had to release another prisoner until at the end of 6 days, we decided I had to end the study. And later on, I'll tell you who put pressure on me to end it. We have a wonderful website, PrisonEXP or prisonexperiment.org, which has been visited by more than 1 million people in the last 10 years. And you'll be interested to know we have it in Spanish, German, Polish,
Can you
Italian,
imagine?
Portuguese, and Farsi.
Can you imagine?
So what are the
picked a bunch of,
processes that
like,
we've
frat
learned? I've
boys
only
and
mentioned
were
a few of
surprised
these
by
in my book.
results. Like,
I
get the
give
fuck
the
outta here.
evidence for all
These
of
are
these.
normal boys.
What are
They're
the
frat
social
boys. You
processes
didn't even
that
notice.
grace what I'm calling the slippery slope of evil? Mindlessly taking the first small step, pressing the 15 volts, and taking the small bribe. Dehumanization of others, de-individuation of anonymity of yourself, diffusion of personal responsibility, blind obedience to authority, and doing nothing as the evil of inaction. Most people are not evil, most people are not good, but most people do nothing, and you give permission for evil to exist.
I don't hate where he went right there in words, but the way he's explaining it, that's where I'm trying to, or the way they tried to do experiments with it, or actually, yeah, even his, I guess, quasi definitions of these things. I'm trying to make them work. Maybe once again, maybe he's just being brief for the sake of a lecture in a big hall in a big room, and I don't want anyone to fall asleep, so let me leave out the hyper details of things, but I still think you can do that briefly and make it make sense pretty good. But let's apply. Here we go.
So we produce the same effects with social processes as with that secret drug of Dr. Jekyll, turning good people into bad. So we got to oppose the power of evil
My
systems.
world, if you're good, you can't be turned
Everywhere
bad.
they spread
It's not
injustice, bullying is an evil,
evil,
intolerance is an
wrong.
evil. And as you know too well, in Mexico, in my ancestral home of Sicily, we know all about corruption, and that has to come to an end. And so now help me create new heroes to fight old evils. So what I want to do now is focus on what makes us good. In fact, we know very little about that. We know a lot about evil, and there's almost no research on heroism. So I've given up evil. No more dining in hell for me. I will only promote goodness and evil and goodness and heroism in my new life. So it's time to promote goodness, social justice, moral courage. I want to end on a positive note. Heroism is the antidote to evil.
What is heroism?
What I'm doing is creating a foundation called the Heroic Imagination Foundation. That means creating a new international educational system that instills in every child the self-belief, I am a hero in waiting, in order to be a
Oh my fucking god. The end. It's not the antithesis. And if he means well, I get what he's doing, but that is by no means hero shit. Hero shit, in my humble opinion, is as dark of a road as if you're the bad guy in any movie or character situation. It's probably darker because you have to withstand it too. You're walking in the dark, and you have to withstand the shit that can happen in the dark. You have to withstand that. So thus, that road is much darker. Sorry, much, maybe darker is the wrong word. It's a motherfucker. Let's call it that, in my opinion. So you can't just wear a t-shirt that says, I feel like a hero, or hero in waiting. I get when you're trying to promote this idea, but like at some point, if someone takes you seriously, if one of these little kids, they're like, I'm a hero in waiting, right? And something pushes back from the world, which will happen. And they actually beg the question, like, what does it mean to be a hero? You're going to realize that's a fucking catchphrase versus the real fucking thing. In my opinion, at least. So, once again, I hope he means well, but making an organization to promote heroism is not, no. Not it. Not going to work, in my opinion, and that's not a workable thing. In fact, that could just be called the very thing that he was crying about, right? Which is conditioning. He's saying bad conditioning, but in reality, it's just conditioning in general versus someone making choices with every step they make, right? Every step has purpose. Instead of that, he's going with, well, we can condition them better towards what I think is good, which is what? 99% of the fucking planet. Isn't that their answer? Let me condition people in my direction instead. That will fix things. Do what I say. But they become the new authority figure instead of asking and begging for freedom. Like, think differently. Be yourself. Like, be yourself, but who are you? Right? It's a dance of that, in my opinion, of like where you get like actual solutions. And it's like, hey, not just be yourself, right? I like that idea, but like also like who the fuck are you? Right? Got the yin yang. What's up, Here we go.
Nation Foundation. That means creating a new international educational system that instills in every child the self-belief, I am a hero in waiting. In order to be a big hero, you need war, corruption, all these terrible things. But there's things you could do every day. And it's a self-belief. I will act heroically when my time comes. And while you're waiting, we're going to have a program to make you be a hero in training.
Oh,
my new conception
My Hero
of
Academia.
says we have to democratize the concept. Anyone can be a hero. We have to demystify it. You don't need special traits. We want to diffuse the concept away from solitary heroes because most effective heroes are heroes who work in networks or teams. Let's look at a few.
This is not good. He's taking these terms and turning it into politics. Oh my God. I'm sorry. The Nolan Batman series outflanked you by miles, Mr. Phillip. Sorry. Once again, if you mean well, I get it, but you are, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, in my opinion, from my perspective, you are significantly ignorant. Significantly. These ideas of heroes and righteousness and morality and trying to do the right thing and being good and meaning well and all, those are fucking sacred. Those are sacred. Bob down the street who gives zero fucks can't enter that classroom. He doesn't know what it is. He can't even see the fucking classroom. That is special for motherfuckers that go there, that actually go there. It is what it is. Now, if everyone has that intuition to go that direction, I say thank God. I'd say thank God. But let's be honest, right? Or sorry. Well, let's be honest. Right now, we're not saying that, right? But also, if they're not going that direction, there's no way to force it. There's zero way to force it. You can't even condition it. It stands outside of conditioning. It can't be like, hey, man, just, see, Bob did, backflip, front flip. If you do the same thing, you're also good. Like, nope. Does not work that way. In my opinion. Not work that way. It's fucking sacred. It needs to be fucking cherished and sought out for real. Not this little hold hands and say, and fucking just, yeah, we're all good now. Are you? Are you good? Because if I send the Joker out there, shout to Nolan again, Send the fucking Dark Knight Joker out there. You sure you good? You sure about that? I mean, Philip himself, right? Keep forgetting his last name for me. Zimbardo. Philip Zimbardo. Mr. Zimbardo. Based on his own definition of heroes and villains, he's literally saying, by his definition, if the Joker shows up, he can turn the world evil if he wanted to. By his definitions. So thus, how good is good if it crumbles from a little bit of an event happening? A little twist or a little turn makes you now a bad guy. How does that make you good? Can you do that to Jesus? Hey, can you give Jesus a bad day and make him a bad guy? But Neo, can you grab Neo? Hey, yo, Neo, here's a bad day. Now I made you a bad guy. See, I got you. No, you can't do that. That's why heroes are heroes. And in spite of all the resistance and of all the factors, they maintain their integrity of goodness. That's the idea of the hero in the first place. But Philip, by definition, is saying conditioning is the reason is the way they become heroes in the first place. Like, that makes no fucking sense. The hero withstands the environment to maintain their goodness. And Philip's saying the only way to be good is to be conditioned towards it. Is to actually fall for your environment. That makes no fucking sense. I swear to God, I have never heard this guy talk out loud before. I've heard of the idea, Lucifer effect. But I made my own version of it because I like the way the words sound. It sounds cool, right? The Lucifer effect. It sounds cool. But after hearing this guy for the first time, I'm like, I'm glad I made my own definition. I'm fucking glad I did. Very glad I did. Because I don't think he fucking gets it. Based on what I'm talking about. But I'll shut up. Let's play. Here we go.
Heroes very quickly. Here's a physical hero, the Chinese student who stood in front of a phalanx of tanks.
I think
saying,
when it comes to
please
intellectualism,
don't hurt us. We're students. We want
we're
freedom.
the best fucking podcast on the
and
internet.
He won. He convinced the tank commander
no one
to
will
turn
know
around
about
and
it.
go away.
We're like an
So the tank
underground
commander was also
virus.
a hero. Sadly, we have no idea what happened to that young man. He disappeared from the face of the earth. A little Chinese student, Lin Hao, I call a dutiful hero. In May 2008, he and 30 classmates were in an earthquake in Sichuan province where the ceiling collapsed and almost all the children were killed. He got out and he noticed 2 other children were still stuck. He ran in and saved them. And people said, why did you do that? He said, I was a hall monitor. It was my job to look after my classmates. So that's the duty of heroism.
There's got to be more to. He's just a hall monitor, so he does that. He has to be more than roles, right? I think part of the point of the ending of Dark Knight isn't that I need to maintain the role of I'm a good guy hero. He was willing to take the role as being viewed as the bad guy, even though he was, in actuality, the actual hero. He was actually that. But he took on the role of bad guy for the sake of, I guess, the psyche of the city of Gotham. So although that kid's a fucking savage for that, by the way. That kid is a fucking savage, bro. Fucking saving people like that. And like, yo, that's my duty. The quiet intentions there of like, I'm here to, like, that's my job. I help people. And this is my idea of helping people. Like, that's beautiful. But there's advanced classes to it. But this Philip guy, from a distance, talking about it, that's what makes it feel more empty than it probably actually was. In fact, I almost guarantee the actual experience that kid went through and what he did is more killer, savage, darker, lighter than the way this guy's describing him. He's just saying an event happening out loud. Well, he had the role of hall monitor. That's why he did it. Meanwhile, it's like, no, this kid maybe had a thirst of fucking savagery, of fucking tenacity. For whatever reason, he had that thing. He fucking did. He got it fucking done. But that's not being examined, is it? At least in this lecture. But let's play. Here's other stories.
It was my job to look after my classmates. So that's the duty of heroism. Joe Darby also is a dutiful hero. His buddy showed him those horrible pictures, and what he did is he turned them into a senior investigating officer, knowing he would be in serious trouble. In fact, he wasn't a hero, he was a hero in hiding. Had to put him, his mother, and his wife in hiding for 3 years because everybody wanted to kill them. Here's a wonderful Polish woman, Irina Sendler. She saved 2,500...
That was the Abu Ghraib? Yeah. That's too vague. Too vague, Philip. Way too vague. But I can believe it. 100% believe it. That's very vague. If you sound like the U.S. State Department was like trying to kill him. Yes, I can believe in that. 100%. But you got to be more detailed than that. But here we go.
Hiding. Had to put him, his mother, and his wife in hiding for 3 years because everybody wanted to kill them.
I'm curious what his TED Talk
Here's
is.
a wonderful Polish woman, Irina Sendler. She saved 2,500 Jewish children from sure death by helping them escape the Warsaw Ghetto. And she did it by creating a network of 20 other women. She was captured, tortured, and she never said the names of the kids. Here's a Polish-American heroine who stopped the Stanford prison study, Christina Maslach. She had been my student. We had just started dating. She came down to the study.
Wait, what?
And she saw the guards abusing the prisoners. I looked up and I simply said, it's the 10 o'clock toilet run. She told me, it's terrible what you are doing to those boys. They're not prisoners, they're boys. And she...
Wait, what? She's one of the students in the experiment, and you were just dating her. Did he say all... Yo. Wait, hold on. Here we go. I think he said that. Here we go.
The kids. Here's a Polish-American heroine who stopped the Stanford prison study, Christina Maslach. She had been my student. We had just started dating. She came down to the study.
She was your student. You
and
just
she
started
saw
dating?
the guards abusing the prisoners.
Yo.
I looked up and I simply said, it's the 10 o'clock
People are going to have
run.
ethical problems with that shit,
She told me,
bro.
it's terrible what you are doing to those boys. They're not prisoners, they're boys. And she said, you have changed.
My student,
I don't want to
just started
continue our
dating.
relationship if this is the real you. I thought you were kind and caring, but what I see is somebody I don't know. She forced me to acknowledge the cruelty and inhumanity that I was allowing in my role as prison superintendent. And so I ended the study the next day. The question is, what are you going to do with somebody who challenged your authority like that? I married her the next year, and we had 2 lovely daughters, and we lived happily ever after.
Okay, so that's what he meant by, here's how the experiment ended early. Okay, questioned your morality. And you're like, oh my God. I love that pussy. All right, it's over. I'm ending it right now. I will not give this pussy up. I'm just joking, guys. There we go.
What about Mexican heroes? There are a great many, of course. Here are 2 classical ones. Miguel Hidalgo. In 1810, he led a group of peasants in a revolt under the banner of the Virgin of Guadalupe. He was captured, executed, but his rebellion was the beginning of the Mexican War of Independence. Saw Juana Inés de la Cruz, born to an unwed mother and growing up in poverty in the 17th century. Her unlikely beginnings were overshadowed by her appetite for knowledge. She became a prolific writer and a poet who entered a convent to continue to pursue her studies. Her work caused an uproar because she wrote about freedom and about women's rights. So my Heroic Imagination project, and I'm just going to take a minute and a half, encourages children, families, everyone to develop the heroic imagination, to think of oneself as a hero in waiting, for some situation to provide the catalyst for action on behalf of others or for defending an ideal, a moral principle. Most heroes are ordinary people whose social action is what's extraordinary. They act when others are passive, and they give up egocentrism for sociocentrism. And
well, let me tell you. Doing something in comparison to others does not make you special. Sorry. It doesn't. So, because everyone ran, you stayed behind. Not good enough. There has to be, once again, like Neo in the 3rd Matrix movie. When you walk, the fucking floor lights up. Everything has to have a purpose to it. It's not, oops, what did I do? Oops, I'm here. It must actually be with the purpose, all of it. And that's the true form. But the other thing, at the same time, other thing, like much respect. Where people view, I've said this about veterans in the past, where it's like, in their minds, like, hey, I'm making the world a better place. In their minds, right? Like, God damn it, I respect that. I don't agree with their actions most of the time, but just the idea, the tenacity to try to do the right thing, to where for typical social people, the idea is like, oh my God, if your life is at risk, you're making the ultimate sacrifice, right? That's the typical condition, in my opinion, conditioned sense of reality, right? If you sacrifice that thing, then damn it, man, you must mean it, right? I get it, but once again, mega respect for this tenacity based on what those guys believe in. They probably believe you die, that's it, and they're risking it for the sake of, in their minds, helping others, which is like, once again, uber respect. But still, there's a difference between the motherfuckers whose steps light up as they walk. Big difference. We don't do that out loud. People don't say that out loud. It's taboo to say out loud. I will say it out loud. It is because I think it's necessary. Because that tenacity, that archetypal tenacity right there, could be used for, in my opinion, actual good, not just what the world tells you is the right thing to do. Thought of, examined good, not by accident. Let's hit play. Here we go.
Be a hero, you have to be aware that it's going to cost you in some way. Heroes transcend the me into the we. And so I want to end with this wonderful story about the most ordinary person in the world who did the most extraordinary thing. His name is Wesley Autry. He's on a subway station in New York. A man falls across the track. There's 75 people who do nothing. He's got a reason not to be involved. He's got his little girls. If he's not successful, they're going to be orphans. But instead, he was successful. He said, I did what anyone could do, and I did what everyone ought to do. That's the moral imperative. And it's just a minute and a half, but it's really a very moving presentation. And then I'll end.
CBS, oh my God, copyright.
On the New York City subway, it's hard enough finding someone who will give up his seat to a stranger, let alone be willing to give up his life for one.
This is cartoon version of Come on, Philip.
It happened
Come on,
just
dude.
50-year-old Wesley Autry, a construction worker and Navy veteran, was standing on a subway platform with his two little girls when right in front of them, a man started having a seizure.
He kind of stumbled and over his own feet and fall backwards.
Now, sorry, is it Aubrey, the guy's name? Sorry to him. But what I guess CBS or 60 Minutes is painting, I guess it's CBS News, is once again, they say, hey, this guy, ex-Navy, father of two, like they're saying social roles. You paint the picture of the image of like what a good guy would look like, right? They're adding that to their presentation of this, right? Who knows? And once again, not to be an asshole to, I think it was Aubrey, right? Not to be an asshole to him, but it's like, hey, what if in actuality, in all reality, Aubrey was like depressed? Yes, he was in the Navy. Yes, he has kids. But what if he's like hates his own existence? What if that's the case? Where it's like, hey man, fuck it, I'll go help him out. Because if we both die, then we both die. Whatever. Not saying that's the case, just saying, how come that's not thought about? Socially, I understand from CBS fucking News. I get why they do what they do. They're doing that condition. They're, I think, in my opinion, like on purpose, conditioning and marketing towards an audience, right? But Philip, why aren't you asking those questions? Why aren't you finding a more extra detailed account of heroic expression in the world? Why is it a CBS News story of he has 2 kids and he was in the Navy, so thus that means he valued his own life in regards to saving? What if he's in a bad economic situation where he's like, fuck man, I can't even take care of these kids, bro. Fuck. I just want to be done. How do you know? Like, that's a part of real life too? Or is that too ugly to look at? Well, guess what? The heroic type looks at that idea. Not saying that Aubrey is not a hero. Wesley Autry. Jesus, I've been fucking his name up the whole time. Wesley Autry. My bad. Let's play. Here we go.
50-year-old Wesley Autry, a construction worker and Navy veteran, was standing on a subway platform
maybe he's a
with
savage
his two
too.
little
How would you
girls
know if
when
you're...
right in front of them, a man started having a seizure.
He kind of stumbled and over his own feet and fall backwards. I see a train coming, but the train is so close, I'm like, what do I do?
Wesley jumped onto the tracks and thought if he could just lie on top of
So
the
I
man,
spit a
keep him
rhyme
from
and
flailing,
he floated back up.
maybe
He
the
floated
train
off
would
the
roll
tracks
right
and back
over
onto
both
the...
of them. The clearance was exactly 21 inches. Wesley and the man, 20 and a half.
No way the train can stop before this gentleman could get him up off the tracks. So he covered him with his body and pushed him down to a point where the train wouldn't hit his head and held him down under the tracks while the train came and rolled right over the top of him.
It gave Wesley's children the scare of their young
New York
lives.
is so
I
like a
thought he
movie.
was
It's
going to
crazy.
get killed.
And Wesley, the scare of his, too.
I'm like talking to him, sir, you can't move.
It's like these fools
I got two
just
kids
saw the
over here waiting for
Ghostbusters
come
walk
back.
past.
I don't know you, you don't know me, but listen, don't panic. You know, I'm here to save you.
As for
So our Heroic Imagination Project is exploring and encouraging our inner heroes, giving voice to our nation and your nation's quiet heroes. And so I'm starting a foundation. We're going to do 4 things, and
Fair
then
enough.
I'll be finished. We want to create, support, and explore new research on all aspects of heroism. There's almost no research on heroism. So for the graduate students who need a dissertation,
Yes,
this is
there
the
it
area.
is.
We also want to encourage the creation
How
of
do you
new
do that socially?
hero educational curriculum in classes, on the web, in summer camps. We want to develop new hero media, a super website, cartoons,
I get what
stories, video games. And we want
I get it, Philip. I get it, but you can't turn heroism into an academic thing. There's no school for being a hero, or forget the idea of like being a hero. The idea of like trying to be one. No fucking school for that. It is a human thing. It's like a not human thing, not even human thing, on a deeper psychological level with whoever can keep up. So that it is there. It's on that level, and unfortunately, it is what it is. It's just like I don't see. I see a lot more Philip's version of hero than my version of hero. I see a lot more of that. Doing social things and on the surface stuff, and thus I'm a hero because it's reflected the world that way, right? I stopped the bank robber. I'm a hero, and they might even bask in it. It's like, fuck, dude, we're missing the point. But all right, there we go.
to organize an international encyclopedia of heroes, an open source like Wikipedia, with a Google
Encyclopedia of
map,
Heroes,
where you can,
until
every
Matt
time you
Hunter
click on it,
finds
has
out that
heroes in every
MLK
city
was
around
in
the
like some
world.
sort of sex party.
And we want to have people, we're going to
Now it
seed it
kills-
with
oh, he's
heroes
not a
like you
hero
saw,
anymore.
plus
Got
many
it.
more we have, and have people, this be the Wikipedia of heroes. And so I need your help,
I get it
Mexico.
now.
Muchas gracias.
I get it. Also, he did a dance in the beginning. Just want to show that real fast. Did a dance in the beginning. Just want to show that. Just wanted to show that. That's all. All right. There's your video. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment, agree or disagree. I had a lot of disagreements. Mainly, it's disagreements in the sense of lack of detail and what was being inferred from Philip Zimbardo, right? Zimbardo, my bad. Philip Zimbardo. A lot of disagreements in the sense of like what he was inferring. But either way, watching stuff like this, I hope the point is to make you think. Yeah, I'd say fuck the idea of his foundations and shit like that. Like, okay, foundations, whatever. But just the ideas being brought up of like, why do people do bad things in the world? I think is worthy of a discussion, both with other people and also with yourself. I did that many years with myself. I'll be honest with you, I didn't have anyone to talk to in real life about these concepts. It was like kind of like I roll over phenomenon. It is what it is, right? Like there's not many people want to truly engage with these ideas. So thus, you know, lectures and looking into things became my place for considering these ideas. I'll be honest with you. But I will say ultimately worth it based on my personal aha moments where I'm like, aha, right? I got it. And no offense to others, but like it's stood the test of time so far for me personally. Not that it's based on others, but like it's held up. And so when I hear Philip talking, I'm like, man, I've thought about this already, and I still think you're think you're dead wrong. In regards to in the context of psychology and in the context of philosophy, in regards to good and evil and spirituality, obviously. But either way, like it's worthy just to run through these ideas, you know, on a personal level or in groups, right? In group discussion, as you probably heard if you made it to this point of the video. But yeah, there it is. Leave your comment if you feel like. Don't forget to share support. Hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Also, please check out the Discord link if you want to join that. We're in the Discord right now. All pins are welcome. And obviously everything I showed you, which is just this video, will be linked in that same description box to look at on your own and study and the Lucifer effect and rabbit hole and yada yada, or do the cha-cha. Whatever you got to do it. Most importantly, with all that said, give this video a thumbs down.